Ladies and gentlemen, Andrew Tate. We are so excited to have you here. We're such big fans of yours. Now, I don't know if you heard anything during our Skype call or our live feed here. This was a giant misunderstanding, I think. I think we're screwed up here. Yeah, you know what? We have been following this Michaela Peterson for quite some time. We saw that you had something to do with it. And I went off in that video, the one that you watched today, and a bunch of people, they kind of course corrected me because they go, dude, you're usually
I gotta put my mic on.
Wrong about Andrew Tate. He's not like what you think. It's not like a scam. He's actually, there's a lot of people that are onto this stuff and they actually like it. It works. So my apologies there for that miscommunication. And hopefully you could give me a fresh start here. We could start over.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. The internet's crazy. I mean, yeah. I was live on YouTube and someone said, hey, this radio station are calling you a dickhead. And I was like, oh, well, that's how it normally goes.
Typical.
That's what normally happens.
Yeah, because it happens to me all the time, too. They think they know me because I sound like something that reminds them of something they hate. And then they go off on me, but they're really going off on like a version of me that they think they know. So I could totally and
smiling like that.
I apologize for what I did.
You know what? I'm very much a proponent of.
And dude doesn't understand that his room is loud as shit, and that he might not be podcasting, or like podcasting might not be the best thing to do from that room.
If you're going to be on the internet, you have to be thick-skinned.
Exactly.
I don't believe in
I can relate.
I'm very, very prepared for people to say all kinds of horrible things about me. And
I got that earbud.
I don't take it personally. And I think that's the only way to healthily approach the internet. I think any other way is.
Amen to that. So what we're interested in here, though, is because obviously you just had this meetup with Michaela Peterson in Romania. She actually flew to see you.
She was in Romania anyway.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God!
Too much of Michaela Peterson's business. I know.
No,
that's
of course not. No. But how did you guys meet? Because it's such an unlikely.
The gossip
duo.
is real.
Is it?
I think. I mean,
everyone just kind of knows each other nowadays. We live in one big neighborhood. You know, the internet, blah blah.
Well, you were isn't it? Just so people know about your background. You were a former MMA fighter. Is that right?
I was 4-time kickboxing world champion.
Kickboxing, there we go.
Former Masada.
I just started Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I just started myself. I'm really into it right now. It's really taking the world by storm right now. So very cool to talk to somebody who knows that world.
Yeah, it's a difficult way to make a living, but I did it for a very long time. And then I retired from fighting professionally, and I ran a webcam studio. So I was
a webcam studio. What kind of thing was that? What's that?
I wouldn't call myself a pornographer because it's not really porn, but you know, like the girls who sit on the internet and sit and talk to the guys.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You did it on Red Bar about
75?
Shit, he got in trouble for?
Oh fuck yeah, dude. So you're like ranking it in.
Well,
no one where he brags about stealing guys' money.
I made money, but I became a millionaire from it.
That's what, okay, because I was just going to ask you, what was it that got you started on the whole? Because you see the videos, and at first, again, I thought they were silly, but then I see your live stream. You're not faking it. I mean, obviously, you've got the fucking money. Here you are in your house. You've got guys working for you. You got assistants walking back and forth across the screen. It's
not
you're not
many
making
girls.
this shit up.
Yes, guys pretending to be girls.
I like to call myself the most legitimate guy on the internet because I know the internet's full of scams and like, you know, people rent a Lambo and they say things that aren't true. But my story is pretty legitimate. I mean, and it's all verifiable via Google. You can see I was a fighter, and then the webcam thing, et cetera, and I've kind of ended up here. And then the courses, I put the course pieces together teaching people things because it was just questions I kept getting asked over and over again.
Yeah.
So I thought, hey, well, there might be a service here. And then I put them out, and it is what it is. And I was talking shit on YouTube. Fast forward, here I am.
Yeah. And the controversy probably gets more people to pay attention to it in the first place and have them sign up and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, I like controversy. I think there's no such thing as negative press. So I'm very prepared for the Lion's Den.
Well, the Lion's Lair, yeah, very good. So Michaela comes to Romania, and why does she meet with you? What's going on with you and Michaela?
nothing's going on as such. She's in Romania anyway. She had some business in Romania, and when people come to Romania, I'm probably the only Westerner on the internet that they know. I think if anyone came to Romania, they probably think, Tate lives here. This is a strange place to be.
How did she know about you, though? How did she know who you were?
That's just the world. We live in one big neighborhood, bro. People know each other.
You're right.
People know each other.
So she comes to you. Now, did she have this idea for the
big internet influencer get-together?
You, or did you guys kind of work on that together?
That's nothing to do with me.
Show that meme again
So she comes to
with
you,
Sam Harris and all the
did she
other ones
ask
they're
for
saying at
advice
dinner.
on like how to make a site
At the
that
table,
is enticing, that gets people?
Nope.
Nothing.
Nothing to do with me.
You didn't have any conversation.
I know you guys are hoping for some big conspiracy story, but really there isn't one. She was here for a couple days.
Well,
we had dinner and that was it.
So what we're confused about is we have that picture of you two, and that picture is saying a lot of stuff. You know, there were a lot of people going, dude, they fucked. They fucked. She went to Romania to fuck this dude. You can see it. Her hair is all messed up. They fucked, man. They fucked. And I said, I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's hard to imagine a female in my company without, wanting Big Daddy Tate.
Let me ask you this: how did she look in person? Would you have,
with a chin like that? Who could resist?
She's a very attractive young lady, but we are purely platonically friends. And I put the picture up knowing it would send everyone a bit crazy.
Yeah, and it did. It did. Now, how does she rate compared to the girls that you usually roll with? Out of 10.
Michaela's a very pretty person. She's a very pretty lady, but I'm not. We don't have that kind of relationship. It was not like that at all.
But she stinks.
Said, I'm in Romania. This is so random.
Yeah.
I said, where are you? Bucharest, the capital. And we had
and you went to the cigar lounge, the now famous cigar lounge where the picture was taken. You're in that outside but fenced in patio area. You're smoking cigars. Now, did Michaela smoke a cigar with you? A little cigar?
Did Michaela smoke a cigar? I think she tried. I don't think she liked it.
She tried it. Now, doesn't that go against her carnivore diet there? Taking some of the...
Hey, I'm not the expert on the carnivore diet.
Of course. Listen, and I don't want to...
I am a proponent of eating meat. I do agree with a lot she says. I do think that meat... I do think that the more meat you eat, the better. Yeah. I don't know if I'd go as far as being pure carnivore, but certainly the souls of dead animals power me.
I could agree with you on that. It's really all that I eat. Back to rating her, I'd give her a 4.
So they admit it's not the protein.
You're a very cruel man.
That's not cruel. That's very high for her, I would say. She's a regular person, She's not...
Show me a 10. Can you do this with your tech? Can you get a picture on the screen? Show me who you would judge as a 10.
I have never given that number out to a female yet. On Instagram, there are things that come close to 8s. 8s are about the highest I've seen with the naked eye. I haven't seen a 10 yet. Okay.
So you're a harsh clinic. I
don't think it's harsh. I think it's very fair. We're living in reality here.
Instagram's all fake. This is the thing with Instagram. I think Instagram really, if you're going to talk about one thing that has affected and changed the modern world in the most different ways, I think Instagram is one of them. I think Instagram has genuinely shaped the entire world. It's changed how people view beauty. It's changed how people interact with each other. It's changed how people attend events. I think Instagram has changed the entire planet. So I know where you're coming from, because before Instagram, I never saw a woman who looked like these pictures. But then you scroll up and down your feed and you're like, where the fuck? It's crazy. But they can't look that way. Surely it's all fake.
So Michaela comes by. She tries the cigar. Now, was that picture taken right after she got off the flight?
Oh, wow. That fucking
Michaela.
Well, I mean, this is our top story here. We don't know about you yet. I want to know a little bit about the visit. And then, like I said,
there's nothing to say, friend. I've told you all there is to say.
She gets off the plane. It looked like she was wearing her bag from the flight when she got in.
No, I have no idea.
Maybe. You have no idea if she got off the plane. She was telling you, how long did you guys hang out? You're starting to lose interest. Don't lose interest on me. I have a point. I promise.
Oh, there's a point. Okay.
There is a point. Don't worry. I'm not. You got to trust me here.
Okay.
How long did you hang out with her for?
Can you guys believe Mike interviewed Tate back in the day?
In total, across 2 meetings, maybe 45 minutes.
2 meetings. And would you say she's desirable?
I'm sure. Well, she has a child and she has a husband, I think. So So obviously she is desirable.
So
to
a
some
little
people.
yucky though to you though. You don't want that stuff. The
I
scarring.
wouldn't say that. I know what you're trying to do. You can't put words in my mouth.
No. I swear to you, I'm not trying to do that. I'm telling you my words. My words are: she's got a big scar on her leg. That's yucky. Her hair is yucky. Her lips are a little weird, and she's got that kid came out. You don't know what's down there. You got that mound. She's a little yucky, and to see her with a guy like you, I'm not trying to be a dick here, but a couple of people are saying they were surprised to see you with somebody so standard on the scale.
Well, obviously, everyone knows Tate. Has high standards. I'm Andrew Tate, of course. But, I can be friends with anyone I like. We met and we had a dinner. That was it. So
if you look at the terms of service on her website, it says all payment processing goes through Romania, your territory.
That's interesting.
So what's that about? Did you mention why she's in Romania, what she's doing there?
Nope.
Now, I saw a look in your eye when I told you about the payment processing coming through Romania. That did interest you.
Andrew Tate is Cypher from the Matrix.
Money. Who is
Yep.
it?
Yeah.
But
I see it.
Oh yeah.
Romania is one of those.
He
countries
literally
that
looks
people
like
have
him,
on
and he has the beliefs like him.
Shithole. And actually, you'll probably find that the majority of online casinos,
He wants to
shitloads of
that
Bitcoin
steak.
mines. Like, there's a lot of tech that happens here. They've got
Yeah.
the third fastest internet in the world. I'm not
Interesting.
surprised that it's going through Romania. Lots of things go through Romania.
So there's a lot of reasons for it. Now, why did you move to Romania? You're from Chicago. I'm in Chicago right now. This is where I'm from.
Because America is a failed society.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
America has failed.
If
you can marry a woman and she can divorce you, take all of your money, take your children, and decide to turn your son into a girl and force hormones on him at 5 years or 8 years old, whatever. That's a failed
MGTOW
society.
supremacy.
If you can't go to a cash point at 2 a.m. without the risk of someone shooting you in the head, that's a failed society. If you have to worry about the police blowing your brains out when you get your wallet out of your pocket, it's a failed society. There's so many downsides to America. And when people talk about the pros, they talk about garbage like freedom. There's no freedom in America. You have to be careful what you say, where you go, what you do.
You're starting to go
There's no
dark here.
freedom
You're
to protect
starting to
democracy.
go down that dark path again. I didn't mean to trigger anything here. What happened in America that you fled to Romania? What happened there? Because it seems like there was an incident.
No.
Financial
I grew
crimes.
up in America, then I moved to London. I lived in London. London is also a failed society. And I decided to try and find somewhere which is safe with genuine freedom, which is not a
By the way, Mike's wasted right now.
complete, has a happy medium
Who's
between
Mike?
non-regulated and non-controlled,
Mike
but
Redmar.
also a very
Interviewer.
The interviewer. I haven't gotten you
Oh,
watching
okay.
watching Red Bar yet.
I think you've had this on before when I came in.
No, I had the other ones where he was talking about. Oh yeah. But yeah, this dude's pretty much the only funny person on the planet right now. And he's like secretly libertarian. It's funny.
Gotcha.
safe place that isn't a completely third world. And I stumbled on Bucharest, Romania. I happen to like it here very much, but there was no incident in London or America. I just don't see the appeal to living in a country with those kind of restrictions.
So you did not flee. You were not chased out. This was a decision you made based on, this is going to be a better life for me. Romania's got it set up more according to how I like things.
Well, yeah, I'm back in America next week. I can go as I please. I come and go as I please, but I do not see any significant advantage to basing my life in a Western country. And that's just because the way the West is going politically, especially liberally. I don't know anything about this radio show. I don't know if you guys are like liberal. I don't know if you're left or right,
this is a
center.
non-political show. We have no interest in that. Is peasant stuff. That is
it is because all in all, it doesn't matter who you vote for, your life's the same. But my view on the way the West is going and the things that are happening, I just don't see any advantage to being there. I don't see any net positive thing in a Western country.
Do they allow free speech in Romania where you are?
Yeah, absolutely.
Complete free speech.
And I can go to any cash point at 3 a.m. and I can get out money and I can count it 5 times in a row and no one's going to hassle me.
Yeah. We were actually just talking yesterday. Where would we go if we had to flee America? And we really had no idea. This Romania sounds a little interesting to me now.
Well, it's a unique choice. I mean, it's not for everyone, but it's Dracula's from here. It's kind of cool. It's kind of creepy. it's a kind of cool place. It's not that different. You know, they got Starbucks and Lamborghinis and all the other shit you have in the West.
So,
but it's just all in all, it's a better vibe for me personally.
So going back, and this is going to be my last question about Michaela. You have nothing to do with the website. You're not associated with it at all. You just met up as friends, talked for 45 minutes. You have no hand in this website. It cannot be traced back to you.
None.
Now,
you find a link. Good luck.
When you saw her, you know these websites. You're the master at this stuff. When you saw that she was charging $599 a month, do you think that's a fair price? Did you think she went a little high with that?
I don't know how much she's charging. If that's what she's charging, I think that, free market capitalism will decide if it's a fair price or not. That's what free market capitalism does.
Well,
so
only 20 people. Only 20 people have joined, and it's been almost a month now. Would you say that's a success or a failure?
Depends what her goals are. Maybe her goals aren't money. Maybe her goals are having 20 dedicated people who are really fans of the Lion Diet, and if that's her objective, she's completed it flawlessly.
Okay.
So it all depends on.
So that's all I can get out of you about Michaela.
He knows the exact.
Afraid so, friend.
Okay.
Afraid so.
So I want to let you.
Yep.
Everything I was saying was a setup. I was kidding. We do not like you at all. Obviously, you're a goof. However, I will say this. Your eyes, looking at the man in the eye right now,
they're alluring.
You actually, because, this is
see
all a
why
gag.
people fall
Obviously,
for
you're a
you.
fool. You're a joke. Okay. We are all laughing at you. We're going to be making fun of you for years to come. But I'm looking at your eyes. You actually seem like a very sweet young boy almost in your eyes. You're not a scary scam artist. Got to look at your eyes. You almost look like you're going to cry.
How old would you say I was when you say young boy? Do I look
27?
No, I'm older than that. But
Well.
that's good. It's good that I look youthful.
So we saw you do a spin. You don't have to worry about us. Listen, we're after Michaela. We're not after you, okay?
Hey, I'm not worried about you, even if you are after me, friend. I mean, I've had much bigger platforms than you come for me, and it's resulted in nothing but positive.
Of course.
So
There's no fear. Sit up, clean your room, and fuck off, faggot! Goodbye! You've been punked. Get out of here.
That was shit. That was wow.
You're still here.
Still here. He thinks he's off.
You're finished. Oh my God, there he goes. Andrew Tate, everybody. Very, very nice.
Hot mic.
Yeah, I got one. I got him again. Got him again. Poor guy. Okay, stop with this. Now they're pranking me. They saw my statement. Okay, a wonderful interview with him. I don't think he knows any. This guy's harmless, man. He's absolutely
lying though because
harmless.
Fucking amazing, man. Braxton, have you seen that?
No, I completely missed that.
Yeah, no, Mike's done some shit, dude. I'm telling you. Mike's gotten to a lot of these fools. But yeah, that one, it's so funny. And then that was before Tate got big. And then Tate got big. And so Mike does this episode where he's like, no, I was just kidding when I did that. I'm cool with Tate. And like Tate's cool because he's trying to get all these, he's trying to like harpoon a bunch of like new fans and shit. But like we all know he fucking hates him. But it's like, if you know the show, you know Mike is fucking, he's full of shit like 90% of the time.
Yeah.
And you have to like watch a lot of his shit to really like get it. But yeah, that was so fucking funny. Oh my God.
Awesome.
Man, I regret being late. I gotta watch that back as soon as this is over. That's pretty good.
Well, he starts it just like oh hey man, like really nice, and then like the more it goes on, he just starts getting like more like starts getting more worried because Mike's just like turning it up, and then finally he's like, "You're a fucking idiot, fuck off." It's fucking hilarious.
Wait, so
thanks, man.
What was all that about the, like, how did Michaela Peterson tie in with that? Or is that just because of the whole carnivore diet thing?
She went to Romania and hung out with him. And so Mike's there was a picture of them hanging out. And so Mike hits him up and he's like, oh, you hit that, didn't you? Like, he's like.
Not only that, but so when you pay for Michaela's membership for the Lion's Den or whatever, Lion's Lair, it was through some Romanian payment processing service. So that was one of the things that Mike was asking him. He was like, okay, so over and over, what was your involvement with Michaela? Did you smash, blah, blah, blah. He's like, all right, one more question. Do you know why her stuff was associated with Romania? And Tate tenses up, and it's like, yeah, he definitely has like a weird little micro expression on his face. He's all, I don't know anything about that. Yeah, pretty juicy.
Something happened.
Yeah.
Go through the same payment processors, all that. What's up,
In
Jeremy?
Romania, yeah, just so happens to be where Tate lives, and then they met up, and it was right.
What's
at the same
up?
time. Hell.
What up, Jeremy?
What's up, guys?
What up?
You got a camera.
You got a camera. We see you now.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Great.
Different laptop.
Oh wow, you got a new one?
Might be my last week in the U.S. too.
Yeah.
Things are moving fast. I might not be in Korea a week from today, but it'll be so close to when I'm heading over that I might not make it next week, and then after that,
No!
on the other side.
Oh man, are we gonna know by like? Will there be some like fashion change or something? Will you come on camera like dressing a certain way and be like, oh
Yeah, I'll be wearing hanbok, traditional Korean clothing for every episode.
yeah, oh, that
You'll
would be
see
way
me.
cool because I thought like you'd be like K-popped out or something, but that's way cooler, like traditional garb. Do that.
I
You
only speak Korean. You ask me a question,
You just no longer speak English. Yes,
As long as we have closed captions underneath.
that would be dope. Just automatically generated.
Yeah, I would like that.
That would like
my new phone does that. It has an AI interpreter, and I can have like a live conversation with somebody.
Oh man.
Does it work well?
It's all right. I can get by at work with it.
Have you seen on Facebook when you post something in the title section, it asks you if it wants an AI title or if it wants help, if you want help writing the title so it's more juicy, it'll write you a title. And there's that app I told you guys last week, the Opus Clip, that just does everything for you. It writes everything, and it's all like really pretty, like it cuts everything up, and it's been pretty cool.
It's like
it's kind of expensive.
That's like expert clickbaity stuff. Like they know exactly what they're doing for the marketing and all that.
Yeah, and they grade all the clips they make for you. They grade them on which ones they think will do best, and and then it writes like a report, like a story. It writes a report about what is said in it, and it's really interesting. I'd have to pay someone $500 to do what I did for $30, and it took 15 minutes. Like, it's so crazy. Like,
yeah, that's why I'm kind of on the fence about the whole AI debate thing, because people are saying, it's stealing people's like human skills and everything. And it's like, okay, I can kind of see that it can make people lazy, but
have you seen AI art though? Like it's still like I haven't seen.
Not there
I
yet.
mean, there's the crazy things, but I don't know. It's like
the
that's what I was
hands
gonna ask.
thing.
Like, yeah, there's always extra hands. They can't get the eyes right, the fingers.
there's always something goofy about it.
Yeah. There's a really weird theory actually about the AI hands issue that like it ties into that. I think I might have mentioned something about this, but this whole thing about like emojis potentially being tied to like the 72 seals of the Goetia, that whole weird like seals of Solomon or whatever.
Whoa.
And it like this guy made a case that like specifically the thing about the hands was that there's like some demon that has really messed up hands in all the like the art that it's depicted in or something like that. And like he made an interesting case that might be what's kind of tied in, and I can't begin to say I understand it all, but like it's just a crazy little rabbit hole to go down.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, AI is kind of a weird thing, but I mean, there's certain parts of it that if it's going to make your life easier and give you access to things that you otherwise have to pay so much money, spend so much time to do.
I mean, it's Internet 2.0, really. Like if it's going to, we're in a phase where it's kind of, we're going to be able to be helped by it, obviously. But it'll be, it's more landmines too, more like infinite ways to be deceived, like it's pretty nuts. Like you pretty much can't trust anything you see anymore.
Yeah.
What do you
they've had
guys
deep
think
fakes
about?
Go ahead.
What do you think about the digital minds problem, as it's usually called? So this is a problem, an ethical problem of AI, not harming us, but AI being sentient and humans exploiting it, causing massive suffering. So, suppose we can come up with like Sims that actually feel, they have enough consciousness, to create like the sophisticated behavior that we want, and then we just create trillions, quadrillions of them, and we put them in video games, and they're like animals do, they're
It's like, what if the NPCs could feel, basically?
they just have enough like thoughts and feelings, and then we're just like, what the fuck, they make it makes Grand Theft Auto games, a lot more fun when the people are more like realistically running away from your car when you run them over, or when you shoot them. And so there are all of these like sentient beings that we end up putting into our games, or putting to work for us in our like economic like apps, and they're suffering tremendously.
It's heavy. AI rights.
To serve our purpose, that doesn't seem too far fetched to me. I mean,
like back in the day, we used to think like video games like Call of Duty and shit. We're all like fighting a war in a different dimension or a different part of the plane. We're like controlling robots or something like that in some other place,
like Avatar.
Yeah,
like the movie. That's an interest. I don't know. I couldn't see. I mean,
we have our own freaking AI here, man. Race Lever is a deep fake. He's AI. We all know that.
That's our working theory.
It's
yeah.
literally. We
Until
thought
you
Braxton
confirm.
was for a while.
Yes, yeah.
We
Braxton,
thought you were AI.
I remember for a little minute there.
if Race Lever is an AI, he's like 3 generations old. He's like
he just makes bad jokes.
He's like a
This
2010 AI. Yeah,
He's been through it a while.
Dusty
It's
AI.
like-
Dusty old AI.
he's like about the era when Steven Spielberg made the AI movie.
Version 1.0.
Oh, yeah. I know that.
Could be human assisted. Yeah. You never
So last week we didn't get to talk about crop deaths because Zen showed up and did his thing. And then this week we were supposed to. I had another person flake on me. We were supposed to do another Barry Cooper thing. But we have some videos to watch. I don't know. What were we starting this for? Oh, since we've kind of we're gonna like finish pounding crop deaths into the ground and start doing regenerative debunking regenerative farming stuff hard now that we've done crop deaths to death, but there's some videos we wanted to watch, especially
All right, let's get Padini on. Let's get Larkin Rose on. We gotta hash this shit out.
Padini should show up at
How dare
some
you,
point.
Devin? How dare you mention those names?
So Padini might show up at some point. I have a specific thing I wanted to go down with him. But I didn't.
And then he could probably invite Larkin on.
I have no time to go through his comments. I'll leave something like one comment, but I can't put energy into that dude anymore. It's fucking.
I'm on the same boat. If I was busier today, I wouldn't have even bothered.
I had some
That
free
was
time.
No,
I
it's
wanted
hard
to-
when, yeah, like it's hard when like he's tried so hard. Like I don't know. I don't want to. It's fucking frustrating. But yeah, and then Kareem's supposed to be here. I don't know where Kareem is. He might show up. If we get any non-vegans on, we should try a little bit to accommodate them a little bit. Not to. I mean, I just want to get more people on to talk about different subjects. And Kareem's a homie, and they've been doing like a podcast over there, week after week to no views, and I'm just like, you guys, at least we get like 10. We have like 10 viewers and like 4 to 6 people that come up. At least come to do something. So anybody who you think is interesting, we should get on and try and at least broaden the spectrum a little bit, maybe.
No, vegans only. Just kidding.
Like Devin's right. He's menacing up there. This red light.
Yikes, dude.
Whoa. That's like you look like a evil, like like the troll face, but it's like the evil version. Oh, red.
Oh, Mike the vegan.
Yeah. So this video is pretty good. We there's a bunch of the first half of it is kind of boring, but or it's not boring. It's just not relevant.
Paper says it's unclear why these are so low. Throws out a few theories you can read in the link below, but I would love to see this peer reviewed. Until then, moving on. Now I want to get into land use, which, as Tushar previously mentioned, was 2.5 times the land of a conventional system for this white oak pasture system. And this makes me wonder, what if we tried to adopt this globally? Well, here's Tushar.
Grazing itself uses 1/4 of the land's usable surface. Okay? The majority of agricultural land is used by grazing, yet it provides only less than 2% of the world's protein.
And yes, that is actually from the FAO. 26% of terrestrial surface on planet Earth is used for grazing, specifically at feed land, and globally 38% of our.
I was sharing some statistics like this just about the state of Nevada. And it was like 30% of our fresh water goes to alfalfa, which it's only used for cattle feed.
Cattle.
Like humans have no use for alfalfa.
And it's grass-fed cattle feed, which is a niche, fad right now. So it's like, and then the amount of pesticides that go into the making the hay is like astronomical also. And it's just bullshit, because these guys are like, in their heads, they're seeing these happy California cows in in like Bakersfield, which is like, it's pretty nice conditions, but still, but really these cows are in the same type of farms. They're just being fed dry, dead hay.
Well, I think that was a big breakthrough for me, like researching this, into a lot of people I talk about. When you hear grass-fed beef, you think about cows grazing on fresh grass, and then that's kind of like the goal, right? But the reality is there's going to be a huge percentage of their diet's going to be hay. It's hay. That's hay is grass, hay is dry grass. So it was like a huge aha moment, because all of these people who are anti-vegan talk about, you're having to
and the hay
use all
has
the
to get
pesticides for these
shipped
plants
around,
to eat.
driven around
You're
with
also
diesel
having,
trucks.
Yeah, everything. But just the whole hay aspect was like a whole thing I hadn't even thought about before.
Yeah, we were watching a grass-fed farming video, and these dudes just tell. It's funny, like when you watch videos about this stuff, when they don't know it's like vegans are watching, they give away all the stuff we need to do them. It's funny.
Yeah. Because it was a farmer who was like talking about the pros and cons of raising grass-fed beef instead of grain-fed, and so it was like, it was a good, honest insight into the reality of that industry and what it takes. and
like these people making like, oh, how we feed our cats through or cats, how we feed our cows through the winter, and
Or
it's
insulin.
like, they gotta mix up all this different stuff,
yeah,
and
just
it's like,
imagine not and being anywhere other than California or these places where there's there's more growth year round. There's a lot of places where winter's many months, so they're having to source hay, and so then in that video,
and hay
the
is
guy,
very scarce. There's not enough of it for
he
all
was
the.
talking about
yeah.
how you have to be really nice to your hay dealer because you don't want them to not, because you could be really stuck in a pickle if you can't source hay. Then you have to you don't want your animals to die. You have to feed them something. So it's like this whole
they feed
thing.
them gummy worms.
Oh yeah. I remember all those reports about that. They were like smashing up the bags of like junk
Skittles.
food, and then they were just leaving
Just
the
the
plastic.
runoff from the Bisco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyways.
it's just anyways. And then it's like all these guys are grass fed, and then 75% of the grass fed we have in the USA has to be flown in from Australia or New Zealand. It's not even from here. We only make 4% of the cattle, and like once you convert a cow to grass fed, you can't just convert it back to grain fed. So it's like there's all kinds of reasons why it's not bigger than it is, but like it's just one of these little things that these people have grabbed onto and just like, oh, grass, they just think it's the answer to everything. And it's like, and statistically, if every person on my Facebook page who says they eat grass fed every day was actually doing it, it's actually like statistically impossible. I'd have to have every grass fed eater on the planet on my Facebook page alone. Like, it's ridiculous. So it's, I don't know. It's just, and then like,
Well, and here's the other thing, is what else are they campaigning for? What other positions are they taking? Are they actively opposed to people going to Chick-fil-A and eating obviously factory farm chickens, going to McDonald's and eating obviously not grass-fed cows and other animals? No, I don't know a single one who is. I don't know a single regenerative farming cow advocate, like fucking Garland
Farm.
Never met one in person.
who is also telling people, look, you absolutely should not buy, factory farm chickens from these companies.
It's just virtue signaling.
And you can see the contrast in the Austro vegans who eat oysters and clams because they think that they're not sentient. That's pretty reasonable, but
Jerome?
those people, Jerome is one example, but there's also there's some like prominent like philosophers, but those people also call the factory farming of chickens and pigs the worst Holocaust in history. They're advocates against the things that they don't find acceptable. So they're walking the walk, They're walking the talk. But the regenerative farming people never do. They never do. You're not going to hear fucking Garland making videos where he says that all the people who are consuming factory farm chickens are participating in the greatest evil that has ever existed. I don't know which piece of my clothing you would like me to slice apart and consume if Garland ever says that, but he's not going to because he's in bad faith.
Yeah.
He's not talking about regenerative farming in order to switch people over from factory farm chickens. He doesn't give a fucking shit about factory farm chickens, you know. So it's very very easy to tell from anybody who's making these kind of claims about some particular form of animal product consumption being more ethical than plant consumption. Just ask them, well, what do you think of the large majority of animal product consumption that isn't like that? What do you think of all the warehouse farmed chickens?
Oh, they'll all
And
say that they're against it, but you can't just be okay with
yeah,
part of factory farming and then think that you're
yeah,
like absolved of all the
yeah.
negative karma that comes along with it.
But if they say that they're against it, then where are their videos against it? Where
Yeah,
are
there aren't
their where are their streams where they're allied with vegans opposing
Yeah.
the 99% of chickens that are farmed, If they
Yeah.
even had one example of that, then you could at least take them somewhat seriously.
Well, Garland let everyone think he was a cattle farmer for several years before I called him out, and then all of a sudden he was a goat farmer. And really, in all reality, he's got like 2 goats in his yard.
He's a farmer, though.
He's probably a goat something, maybe not farmer. You guys know the joke or the expression of McGregor the goat fucker?
No.
This is something that like people in politics say, and it's I mean, you can tell it is a whole joke about this guy in a bar in Scotland, but what it amounts to is McGregor he built every bridge in the entire county with his own 2 hands, and he fucked 1 goat. But nobody ever called him McGregor the bridge builder.
Yeah, I've heard that one. All right, I'm gonna put this back.
Yeah, so that's
Garland
right there.
2.5 times would get this to about 96% of our habitable land, which is insane. Complete global adoption of this would cause food system collapse, probably.
So it appears the question is, how much land do we have to throw in the operation to dilute the methane that is spewed by these cows? Is it like 1 cow per 3 acres, 4 acres, 5? You might as well just be buying carbon offsets at this point. All right, now I want to whip through a couple final topics, and one is the economic argument. I hear a lot that we need to have money coming in, a ton of money coming in.
What up, Austin?
More sustainable farming, and beef is the way to pay for that because people will pay a lot of money for beef. And there's a bit of a paradox here. First of all, because this is a specialty product, this specialty eco beef fetches a higher price. So you can do things like pay for 2.5 times as much land, etc., or other intensive techniques. But as you scale this, which they say is necessary to achieve the results they want, then also you're going to have a higher supply. This stuff is going to be worth less. So as more of this special eco cow flesh enters the market, you're going to have a harder time competing with conventional farms in terms of paying for all the extra labor and land and intensive stuff. You get the point there. And the other economic issue here is ignoring the fact that you can sequester carbon while getting an income from growing plants. And that brings me to regenerative agriculture that uses plants, because yes, regenerative agriculture is a very real thing.
But there's also conservation plant agriculture where you use low tillage or no tillage and use a lot of organic and permaculture principles in your plant agriculture. So what you should be doing is not just comparing any kind of regenerative animal agriculture to the worst forms of agriculture. You should compare them appropriately to the better forms of plant agriculture that should be used.
You can use things like no-till, and you can plant plants with tap roots to deepen that soil, and you can use things like a roller crimper, keep the ground covered, and all of these things that help keep carbon in the ground, store more carbon. And it's just worth saying that even conventional nut farming, looking at that source of protein, is on average carbon negative. That's incredible. And I just have to mention cover cropping because it's a great way to store carbon without methane emissions, where you just plant another crop between your main crop in the off season.
Oh
And
my
a study in the
God.
journal Nature that looked at a couple sites over 9 years found that the cover cropping led to an extra carbon storage of up to 2.2 tons of carbon per hectare, which is pretty much the entire white oak pasture
It's impossible. You have to have cows do it.
storage. So that is massive. And I know there are people out there who just really want to believe in this
It's the wrong kind of carbon.
grazing, and they're going to say, well, look at the land. The land really is regenerated. It is better. This is good. Shut up, Mr. Vegan. It is just a fact that you can regenerate an area of land while emitting a ton of carbon. I'm sure there's some McMansions around the US that have a garden that is massively regenerated compared to the bare dirt that it was. No, but they might have used 1,000 leaf blowers and crap to make it happen. So it is not true regeneration if you improve a certain aspect of a spot of land while you are massively spewing greenhouse gases and fueling potential climate catastrophe. And this is what is happening when you're emitting a ton of methane, especially looking at the 20 years that matter here as you're reaching soil saturation in these white oak pasture systems and similar systems. So in the end, I think it's good that this Frontiers paper took the ridiculous claims of the initial Qantas report, brought them down to 66% better instead of carbon negative, because the idea that carbon negative beef exists is a very dangerous idea to have in the ethos of people that want to be eating beef, that will just latch on to anything that sounds good and just think beef eco in their head from there on.
It's hard. It's hard to hear things like, if you love to fly, that you got to fly less. If you love your car, that you got to drive less or have a smaller car, or or use public transportation. And if you love to eat certain things, then we don't want to hear negative news about that. So it's tough for people's stomachs. So when they hear news from any source that says what they're doing is good, they're going to automatically, or more, just very high tendency to latch onto that good news, right? And that reinforces something that they desire, something they like, something that they see within their own benefit.
But that being said, again, between the soil saturation and the power of methane at 13 years, 100 times more than CO2, we're looking at a system that is not going to save the planet. It's probably not even going to help at all compared to conventional when you're talking about the atmosphere and greenhouse gas emissions and climate change. So it is especially nowhere near as eco as these meat analogs that regularly trick people into thinking that they are actual animal flesh, as I've talked about before, like Glenn Beck. I think my hair just like popped out like a spring, but major thanks to Tushar Mehta, doctor, who inspired me to make this video. Definitely check out his plant.
Oh God. Ah.
Yeah.
I mean, again,
So-
you can instantly tell the good faith from the bad faith. You know, even if
Yeah.
you don't think that eating oysters is okay, you can immediately see that the people who eat oysters also campaign against the factory farming of chickens. The regenerative never campaign against the factory farming of chickens.
There's no intent to do any less harm whatsoever. There's intent to do more harm. So it's like, you know.
There's excuses.
Yeah.
But what about the plants?
Like, where's Will Keller?
Yeah, where are these people on this topic?
They don't show up. I tag them all, you know, because they know. So why would you charge the lance? You know, like, why would you charge the sword if you know that you don't have I mean, these dudes never they have garbage arguments. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. That's why I want to get Chadini back up here.
He wants to see everybody.
They're really just like throwing caltrops in our path, you know, throwing obstacles to slightly slow us down in the overwhelming case that we're making, to convince the world to stop committing the greatest evil that there has ever been. You know, just anything to slow it down a bit.
I just like the whole thing. Like, 5 times a week, someone hits me up and is like, "Oh, I heard that more animals get killed in the crops." Blah 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 blah. And it's like, this kid the other day hit me up and said it, and I was like, he's all, "What do you think about this?" And I'm all, "What do you think about this?" I'm pretty sure you're smart enough to see the bullshit. It's only 2 levels deep in this argument. Like, I've done this argument 1,000 times. 2 levels. You got to think. You got to go down 2 levels in thought process to figure out how much bullshit this is. Okay, so so as a cow eater, you're gonna say a vegan is killing more animals, and you can't think deep enough to think that the cows that you eat plants. Like, that's how deep. Like, it's like they're trying, like, there's nothing else, so they just got to keep repeating these things and not actually engage in the conversation, because they can just hide behind their computer.
Yeah, and that is true, Jeffrey. And I'd also just like to hear one of them say, um, eating regenerative farming cows is the best. Eating plants is second. And anybody who eats, chickens or pigs from, any kind of restaurant or supermarket is the worst of the worst. And so fuck you, people who are getting chicken sandwiches at Chick-fil-A. I would just like to hear one of these regenerative farming cows people say that, but they will not.
That's why I always say they get their meat from Walmart while saying they're eating grass fed.
Yeah.
No, I call them all. It's such that drives me nuts.
Hunters say that too,
you and everyone else on my
It's a code.
One deer will feed a family.
It's like,
of 4
yeah,
for
you
a
don't
year,
ever in
and
your life eat fast food. Give me a fucking break. You live in the Midwest. There's nothing else to eat but fast food. Like, give me a break, dude. These guys are all full of it. And then you want, what's that kid's name on my Facebook page? Damn it. He's always like pushing carnivore stuff, and then he posted his Trader Joe's bags full of food, and I saw everything that he ate. And it's like, oh, you're just completely full of shit. Like Dr. Baker. Check this out. This video. So this fool, like, holy shit. This fool was in an interview. Share screen. Hold on one sec. Watch this shit. This is funny. So this fool in an interview.
We're here with Dr. Matthew Nagra, and we're going to be.
I meant to watch this one.
Oh yeah, I saw this.
The Sean Baker's debate he had with Garth Davis recently on the same carnivore YouTube channel, which Dr. Matthew Nagra
Dr. Baker calls him Garth
Brooks.
Brooks.
It's a 7-minute video, and there was a lot to cover, so we're going to get right into it. And just a fair warning, there will be a lot of pausing just because there's a lot of things to cover. And
I have it on
is there
1.5
anything to say
speed.
before we get right into it?
Nope, I think we're good to go.
Alrighty, sounds good. All right, guys, let's get into it.
All right, here's a little video of a guy named Dr. Nagra, something like that, from he debated Dr. Chafee a while ago, and he had a little critique of my recent quote-unquote discussion, debate, whatever you want to call it, with Dr. Garth Brooks. And here's what he has to say.
Debate between vegan doctor Garth Davis and carnivore doctor Sean Baker.
I don't know. I will say, I don't know if my diet is going to make somebody live longer. I don't know if it's going to either prevent or increase the likelihood of some disease, because we just don't have the data that shows that.
As
what?
One of the biggest
Don't have the data.
What?
Clearly states that he actually
what do you need, man?
Good or poor health outcomes in the long
Good
term.
question.
Meta-analysis from every dietetic organization.
Research on red meat. But what I really want to focus on here is that he still recommends it despite not even knowing if they'll be healthy in the long term. And he continuously puts out information like this and this and this and this. I can keep going. Okay, I'll stop after this.
So I'm just gonna pause this here because notice this tweet here. We're gonna be focusing on it a bit throughout this response, only because Sean Baker at certain points speaks later in the video about how a lot of his social media is for entertainment. He even makes it sound like it's all for entertainment. And we have claims like this where he says in capital letters, red meat does not cause heart disease. And then we have a link to a study.
Yeah, and it's the NutraRex papers, which, I mean, you can link Avi's long debunk of that if anyone wants to watch it, but it's also observational research. So keep that in mind as well. He's citing that to suggest that red meat does not cause heart disease. All caps, very direct in that statement. I don't know how you can misinterpret that.
Yeah, and the reason why Nagra is pointing out that it's observational is because on many occasions, Sean Baker has said that epidemiological research is not science in his view, it's garbage. So there's just a lot of confusion here. And as you'll see in this video again, he's going to talk about how all this is for entertainment purposes, but how else are we supposed to interpret something like this, especially his followers who look at him as an authority figure and take his word for it. You know, we all know that influencers have some kind of influence, quite literally, on their fans. So I don't know who saw this tweet, who's a big fan of his and was like, ha ha ha, so funny, so funny. I'm not going to take this as like an actual accurate causal claim. Yeah, let's just keep going.
This one. So he puts this out on social media, presumably to suggest that a carnivore diet may be healthy, or at the very least that red meat isn't unhealthy. But later in the debate suggested his social media is just for entertainment.
Just one of your more recent videos here, and you don't need to go into like a full
So
thing
I'll just
of
put the
what it
caveat.
was, but I am
The
curious.
social media is kind of for entertainment purposes only in many ways. You know, I mean, but anyway, what am I saying here?
What? But my big issue with that is that there's no way he doesn't know that people are going to take what he says and actually implement it into their lifestyle. So this is a message to those who follow him and actually incorporate the information he provides into their lifestyle.
Yeah, so that's insane.
It's just a joke. You're not supposed to take anything they say serious. It's just satire, advanced satire.
Yeah. It's nuts, dude.
Carnivore diet is like the planking challenge. Just a fun thing for people to do, a wacky, dangerous thing. Nobody's supposed to think it's really a diet.
Yeah. Well, and did you guys catch? I'm subscribed to Jimmy Dore, but I'm like off and on with some of his stuff. But he recently posted a video, breakthrough cancer treatment using keto diet with doctor from Boston College. I didn't actually watch it because like I was just kind of infuriated because it's like, dude, you talk about being against the machine, being against the system, and you're trying to be all about people's rights and everything. And he's even talked about wanting to go vegan, but all of a sudden he's bringing on like keto doctors, especially one making a bold claim like keto could reverse cancer. Like,
Yeah.
do you not realize how much hypocrisy is going on?
Yeah, it's not.
Thanks, Race. I'm starting with my own hand.
Carnivore.
So yeah, so this no-till shit's pretty cool. Because yeah, canine teeth.
Saw a comment about that in the chat earlier too.
Yeah, our giant canine teeth.
Yeah, so convincing.
Conservation practice, no-till, is planting crops without soil disturbance. It can be a variation of not tilling the ground at all besides a narrow slit till what we call a strip till, where you plow a narrow strip and plant in the narrow strip and leave the rest of the field undisturbed.
I'm a third-generation farmer from Laurel, Delaware. My mom always knew that I was going to be a farmer. That's all I ever done. I was always with my grandfather and my father in the field working. Our practices are strictly no-till. The top 3 benefits of no-till: you're going to have no soil erosion, for one. You're going to be able to cut input costs, and it builds your soil health. And soil health should be the first one, because once you get soil health, the other 3 will fall in line.
If you dug a hole into a field that had no-till, you're going to see a lot more earthworms, a lot more biological activity, and your soil is going to have a lot more structure.
So if I can learn to be more sustainable and put less inputs and retrieve the same crop, I'm going to be more sustainable 30 years from now, because it's making the land better. It's just all there is to it.
So, JD Farms, like has no clue about this stuff. He's a master farmer, but has no clue that any of these alternative ways of, there's hydroponics, there's all kinds of stuff. What were you talking about? The mycelium in the soil?
Oh, just the no-till method preserves that. It's better for soil health because it doesn't destroy fungi and all the other microbial stuff that happens, but which is needed to create topsoil, and then, but yeah,
And
low-till
sustain
no-till.
topsoil, like to keep the nitrogen content up.
Correct.
Continuously, no matter what's growing.
Yeah, because it contributes.
It's funny when we were this
That's
is
beautiful.
something we want to talk about. In Santa Cruz, me and Allie were in Santa Cruz. You guys will like this story. We were in Santa Cruz, and there on my ride to work, there was this park that had some really cute cows in it. and it was like, oh, this is all regenerative grazing, blah 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 blah. You know, like helps the local plants. Yeah, it was saying, oh, it helps native plants. It kept talking about these native plants, and then because the couple times I rode by it, I was like, I bet that's a regenerative grazing thing. And then I went up to the sign one day, and it's all bullshit. And so I'm looking at it, and there's this section. It's all fucked up. For one, there's shit everywhere, piss everywhere. It smells awful. There's flies everywhere. Yeah, these poor cows, cute little cows, but just covered in flies. You know, like people are bringing their kids up to them, and it's all stinky and gross. And then there's in the field, there's this area where it's fenced off
from the cows.
Fenced off from the cows, and that's the only spot the native plants are growing.
Yeah, they're like They're like
an example of how regenerative grazing doesn't fucking work. Yeah. Like it's so funny.
Native wildflowers right in this like
fenced-in area, and then everything else is fucked up.
Pooped on and eaten.
Yeah, it was funny.
Here's your Costco sampler cup.
Yeah, we were cracking up, dude. Because I was like, Allie, wait a minute, look at this over here. And like they literally went to as far, like it was obviously a problem right off the bat, and they can't have all these signs saying that there's native plants if there aren't any native plants. So they're like, oh, I guess we have to put up a fence over in the corner and don't let any cows there, and then that's where the native plants will be. It was so funny. I was just like, oh my god, like they can't even make a working model of it.
Yeah, and it was through the University of Santa Cruz.
So it was like UCSC. So obviously they had a bunch of bright minds on it.
Yeah, but it was some curriculum thing they obviously had to work in, but they tried to make it this public display that was kind of like fail.
I think what it was though, it was a private property that had farming, and all the locals in Santa Cruz were getting pissed off about it, so they had to make this like cutesy little area. Where they're like, oh, the happy cows, look how cute these cows are. They were like, the cutest cows you've ever seen. So it was like just this made up stage fake, you know, like it was such like a metaphor for what we're dealing with all this stuff. It's hilarious.
And the back is where the sausage is made, or where the ugly cows are at.
Yeah. This guy, okay, did we want to watch Lifting Vegan Lodge's video?
Let me emojis. Which video?
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, look at race lever.
Hurts
but yeah. So there's obviously, you know, people like JD Farms, you know, when you see all these things, like, and there's like, you know, even with the crop protection stuff, there's all like, okay, that's what I wanted to talk about, crop protection. So yeah, that was the last week's meme, was the military in the crop field machine gunning.
Oh yeah, I like that one.
Tiny soldiers.
Yeah, like that's literally what these guys think it looks like out there.
It's a killing field.
Yeah. And that's the only option. If that wasn't the case, we wouldn't have enough food to eat. You know, like it's all.
We wouldn't have enough soybeans because that's all vegans eat, right?
Yeah.
It's not like the cows don't eat like 98% of the soybeans grown in the United States.
Yep. But it's like, you know, it's very like these days, like we live in an area where there's tons of farming. There's no animals, like, but there's like you know, there aren't people running around with shotguns shooting birds out of the sky like fucking Uncle, what's his name? Guitar player guy. Ted Nugent. I know. I didn't remember Ted Nugent. You know, like that his statement on Rogan's been so obliterated, it's not even funny. Like, and it's funny because if you go and watch it back, he's talk about, oh, I fire one arrow for one death. You know, like he's talking about his specific scenario. You know, like his like what was his name, Hard Hat scenario, where he's like, oh, I'm just gonna go live in the woods and kill one moose. You know, it's like this bullshit it doesn't work for everyone. So, but then all the meatards grabbed onto it as if it was an excuse for eating meat, which if you actually watch the video, he was like, no, I kill less because I kill, you know, like his whole argument was his scenario where he's this fucking bow hunter, you know, which
everyone was doing that, or there wouldn't be enough.
there wouldn't, no, it'd be zero
Yeah.
animals in 2 weeks.
What was it? The Dust Bowl, the Great Depression. There was just tons of animals that were wiped out just a year into the Great Depression and the Dust Bowl because everybody went out hunting.
Yeah. And like down in Central America where I lived for a while, there's no animals. All their big game's been killed. Like they're living in poverty. Everyone hunted it away. And then I used to have to pay these kids to leave our property because they'd come to our property and throw rocks up and knock the iguanas out of the trees and eat them. And so I give them like more money than their parents make in a month because like our money down there is just crazy. You know, I give them money to leave and they run off super stoked and like, you know, it's like you guys don't have anything left. You only have lizards and like sloths left and monkeys and like, you know, like they used to have coastal pines and all kinds of big game, but that was mostly the U.S. puppet government down there, clear cut Central America and put in a bunch of beef farms. There's like a 99% chance that if you had a hamburger in the 90s, it came from Nicaraguan American beef companies that were, or it's actually the 80s, not the 90s. The 90s, early 91 is when the Iran Contra thing happened, when Ronald Reagan was fighting a secret war in Nicaragua, and he was letting dudes sell cocaine in the U.S. to pay for it.
Freeway Ricky Ross
completely screwed the entire country of Nicaragua up. Beautiful tropical country, completely like looks like California now. Like it's like nice, but like not how it used to be. They have like the biggest freshwater volcanic lake in the world that used to just have all this rare sea life and stuff in it. And that's all gone. If you go scuba diving there, it's just all dead coral now from the runoff from the beef farms that went to McDonald's and Burger King in the 80s. They had a puppet government that got ousted in the early 90s, and now they're a strange communist country that kind of is pretty, I don't know. I had a really good time there. It was definitely more free down there than it is here, but at the same time, you're still a gringo in a foreign country. But where'd we get onto that? Oh, yeah. Beef farming, super good for the environment, guys. You know, it's really good for the lakes. The nutrients from the cows leak into the lakes, and all the wildlife in the lakes flourishes.
Oh yeah, the algae thrives.
Yes,
that's what we're looking for. All that biodiversity coming from cow poop.
It's like we already have a problem treating human shit that's generated from our cities. Let's just times that times 5, 6, 7, 8.
Oh, dude!
And now we have to.
Have you driven up the 5 towards like San
The
Francisco?
5? No.
Oh, dude! There's all these cow farms. There's just these like slurry pit lakes of piss and shit and blood. It's
Yeah,
the grossest.
You smell it from like
and they put it. Yeah, they always put it in a bad neighborhood too.
You have to roll up all your windows and shut off your air conditioning. Like it's nauseating to drive through there. And it's just you see cows for as far as you can see. Like Harris Ranch is up there. It's pretty shitty place.
Literally.
Yeah. Yeah. Literally.
Damn, that reminds me. I saw so in Vegas we got one kind of animal situation. It's we have a poultry slaughterhouse, and unfortunately I saw the truck on my way to work today.
Oh no.
Yeah, and they just have them. They just have the cages not uncovered, and it's just fucking, just flying down the highway. There's feathers coming off of the
Yeah.
truck. Yeah.
It's the only two things that are legal to dump on the road is water and feathers. It's actually it's legal for them to do that. Yeah. There's actual law that accommodates the, big ag that they had to like fight for, so they can just leave the like the birds are just like, it's like,
Well, it shows you how
they're
many
going to the farm, they're
feathers
going to
are
get
being-
defeathered anyway. They're getting half defeathered on the way there, all blowing in the wind, like getting all, and then like that's traumatizing. Those cows are releasing stress hormones that you're going to eat. Like people hate hearing about that when you start talking about all the death.
Oh, you're eating. Yeah, you're
growth
eating the
hormones
fear.
you're
You're eating the
They're trying
trauma.
to tell us we're soy boys. We're getting estrogen from soy that isn't even bioavailable to humans, but they're eating cows that are getting murdered, basically, like that are frozen.
They have
Their meat is
adrenaline running through their blood.
all kinds of gross shit.
Yeah, and people want to deny the karma aspect of it too, and it's like that's literal natural law at work. You're eating the like stress hormones from the anguish, torment, and all these things, and it's like causing your body to stress more. But there's like toxins coursing through your blood just from eating that. But tell us more about how plants are killing everything and how we have a vegan agenda. Like seriously.
Or
I don't know.
veganism is the NWO diet. But then what's the only
Oh
we
my
go to
God.
like, little towns, the only thing
Oh,
fast food, meat, and dairy. But then how is it
So-
the NWO diet then? What the hell?
Exactly.
have you seen the new Earthling Ed video? He's got a conspiracy theory.
Should we watch
vegan.
some of it? Should we watch
Yeah,
some of it?
yeah. I feel like we need to respond to some of this stuff.
Did you watch it, Devin?
Yeah, I've watched it. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, some of the like takes he has on the whole like denying conspiracies and all that. It just leaves you kind of wishing that wishing for more. I guess you wish he was a little more.
He doesn't go all the way.
informed. Yeah, like
Well, there was he interviewed a libertarian
Yeah.
once, and it was pretty infuriating
He was
because the guy was a
super disappointing.
complete dunce.
Dunce.
Had no idea anything about what libertarians are or anything about libertarian. He's just like, oh, libertarian means I get to do whatever I want. Like,
Yeah.
whoa, bro, easy. No, not quite.
Edgelord libertarian.
Speak for yourself, bro.
Yeah.
I want to preface this video by saying what he says here about spirituality and like new ageism leading people to quit veganism, totally not correct. I mean, I came to veganism through spirituality and through philosophy. There's,
Probably
it just doesn't apply.
Because the Bible says it's okay to eat animals, like, and he's not like,
Yeah.
he hasn't dove deeper into that aspect. He hasn't talked to, like the people we've talked to about it that are all like, no, there was, tons of vegans in the Bible. They just weren't called vegans. and you kinda had to
Yeah, we know the hardcore Christian vegans.
Yeah.
And all the
I mean, I'm dating one.
and all the talk of like veganism, it's not directly in those words, but like in the fine print, it's kind of alluded to when you start to look into some of these things.
Yeah.
There's a lot of nuance.
Find yourself confronted by something so utterly jaw-dropping, you actually end up beginning to question the very fabric of reality.
He's already really fast. Let me turn it down.
Yeah, my-
So whenever anyone you want me to pause it, say pause, and I'll pause it.
Wondering, why does this impossible meat taste so much like meat? And it is a conspiracy theory, and I know you're a theorist, that there may be human meat in the Impossible Burger.
Now, the term conspiracy theory is exceptionally broad and encompasses so many ideas and events. And it's important
I
to
am
recognize
totally okay with eating humans.
something shouldn't be disregarded simply because it is.
Yeah.
a conspiracy
pro-extinction,
theory.
actually.
However, for many conspiracy theorists, well, they find themselves doing the opposite. They become more inclined to believe a conspiracy theory is true because it is a conspiracy theory. And then sadly, the consequence of this is you end up falling deeper and deeper.
That's me too.
Into more extreme beliefs, which become further and further detached from reality. Now, I already know that I'm going to get some comments about how I'm brainwashed because I don't think the Earth is a floating disc, or how I'm in the pocket of the global elite because I'm not crying myself to sleep because
shots fired
of a benign city planning idea called a 15-minute city.
The media's covering up. The Biden crime family stealing this election. The media's covering up. We want our freedom for the world. Give us our freedom, Joe Biden. Your Biden's covering up this election. He's stealing it.
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
Where were we? What was the last question?
Ironically, unsubstantiated and extreme theories that are easily disprovable actually do more harm than good for the themes that conspiracy theorists seek to represent. Now, corporations and governments do terrible things. They often try to hide what they do and do them covertly and secretly. Accepting this is not an extreme thing to accept. However, some of the most prevalent and extreme conspiracies that now exist seek to serve the interests of the most powerful on the planet and are also a direct attack on science and evidence, which is why in this video we're going to be looking at how conspiracy theories overlap with veganism and actually cause it considerable harm, including looking at things like alternative diets that are not rooted in evidence. So because science and evidence are incredibly important to me, as they should be for everyone, it is for this reason that I've partnered up with Complement, who is sponsoring today's video. Complement's essential supplement is a science-backed multivitamin specific that has been signed as gut nurturing powder. So make sure to consider whose best interests it serves. Now let's take into account that many of the arguments that are used by climate change deniers are easily debunkable pieces of pseudoscience, which were actually created and spread by the fossil fuel industries themselves. So many of the arguments used by climate change deniers come from the industries that have
and it is exactly why the reason you think we're not on a disc, that you think that this fucking environmental shit is actually real. It's all connected, bro. It's all fucking connected.
Vested interests in people not believing the climate science. So now you have an extreme conspiracy theory that actually aids the largest, richest, and most politically powerful companies on the planet. And if that wasn't confusing enough, astonishingly, politicians who accept hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars from these industries are now being positioned as defenders of freedom and drainers of the so-called swamp. In the UK, we even have people like Jacob Rees-Mogg and Nigel Farage who have somehow been positioned as anti-establishment. And the fact that conspiracy theorists seem to be more likely to have theories about environmental groups than they do about BP, Chevron, Exxon, and the rest speaks to how many conspiracies are less about challenging power and more about cementing it. Take this clip from Piers Corbyn, a conspiracy theorist who crashed an environmental group's church service to shout at them and tell them that they're doing the work of the devil.
You are selling lies. Man-made climate change does not exist. You are working for the devil.
Now, this goes back to the point I was making earlier. We know that huge corporations like BP engage in unethical and shady behavior. And we know that politicians accept money from these companies to allow them to continue and are, of course, susceptible to the lobbyists that represent them. And yet within many conspiracy circles, it's the activist groups, climate scientists, and academics whose motivations are deemed most suspect. This also follows how the politics of many of these theories have now changed, and how many of these more extreme conspiracy theories are deeply tied in with right-wing ideology. While historically distrust of governments and powerful industries have been tied in with left-wing politics and often, of course, drew on real examples of corruption, far-right ideology weaponizes a different type of distrust, this time placed on academics, experts, and so-called elite.
Can we agree that you don't have to be shilling for BP to not believe in climate change?
Yeah, that was a bit much. That was quite.
That was a weird, like.
Yeah, like I don't like BP, and I simultaneously don't believe climate change is the way they say it is. Like,
yeah,
although, nuance, bro.
He knows governments can do bad things, but doesn't think that they would lie about that. or
Yeah.
use it against us, or use it to scare us, or use us to use
Like
it to tax us, or use it to do anything. They want to tax us for it. Obviously, that's
Use
what
it
they've been
to
pushing.
subsidize the very thing we're against.
Well, we're not just against the whole issue with the ozone layer and everything. That's the thing, is that like you can be an environmentalist and just, you know, for the sake of trying to make sure that the animal industry isn't polluting every body of water and like destroying all the usable land. Like that's where I'm an environmentalist. I hate pollution.
Yeah.
That's the biggest concern.
Yeah, old school.
Yeah.
Pollution. Yeah. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Like Fern Gully taught us.
Oh my God, Fern
Yes.
Gully. I was just thinking about that
Fern
movie.
Gully.
Yeah. Classic.
Got a lot of people in the chat. Bunch of scared people. Don't want to come up and show their face.
Come on down.
Leads ties this distrust in with extreme conspiracy theories. Now, Piers from that clip seems to believe that actually BP and others like them are the ones trying to save the planet. One of the arguments he shouts at the environmentalists is that plants use CO2 to grow, so we need more CO2. This argument is tied into something called global greening, which is the argument that increased carbon dioxide is good because it can increase global greening, which relates to the amount of plants and also the number of leaves on plants and trees globally. This idea was popularized by a documentary that was produced and distributed by the coal industry. The idea ignores the fact that two things, of course, can be true at once. Increased CO2 levels can lead to an increase in global greening and can also lead to an increase in atmospheric CO2 levels, which cause global warming and the other climate issues that we sadly currently face. Also, bear in mind that global greening relates to agricultural land as well. But while fields of animal feed might be included within the concept of global greening, it's clearly outlandish to claim that fields of animal feed are good for this reason, especially when animal farming is the leading driver of deforestation and habitat loss. Ironically, the global greening argument relies on satellite imagery taken by NASA. So for conspiracy theorists, this is a pretty awkward one. And NASA actually...
I wonder if Ed drives a car. I wonder if any of his crew drive cars. Isn't driving a car and using petroleum supporting the biggest fucking whatever he just called it? Like, hold on here, buddy. Calm down a little bit. This is just, he's getting a little too extreme, you know? Like, I get it, you're a vegan, you know, we're all pretty extreme about things, but like, you can't, you know, it's just like these metards that are like, oh, I'm against factory farming, but I support grass-fed, you know, like, it's like, okay, like you're not doing anything by saying that, and you're lying anyway. So, but
we don't have a good alternative. That's the problem I see with these like anti-oil protesters and stuff. I'm like, well, there isn't enough wind farms in the world to give us the energy we need to do what we're doing right now. So until we have a good alternative, like,
it's psychopathic waste and it's intergenerational child abuse. We're pushing this on to the future people, you know, like it's you know, it's crazy. Like nobody really gives a shit. But yeah, we'll get back. I'm sure, you know, Earthling Ed doesn't use any petroleum products whatsoever.
A legitimate organization that's in space taking imagery of our spherical planet, or is the Earth flat and NASA is simply protecting the Antarctic ice?
I mean, he's got a Macintosh right there, huh? Sorry.
Wall and fabricating satellite imagery. And if NASA are in on this huge global conspiracy and the satellite imagery they provide is fabricated, why would they create fabricated satellite imagery showing global greening, which could be weaponized and used by conspiracy theorists? Wouldn't they do the exact opposite? Now, here's my 2 cents, and call me tinfoil hat crazy. But
allegedly, I read something that North America is like more green. I mean, there's just, we've planted a lot of trees here. I mean, even in LA, like you'd be shocked. A lot of people, you know, when they come to LA for the first time, they're like, geez, there's a lot of trees here. Like it's solid trees, especially in the spring. Like when everything's out, it's like very green here. And as is North America, like a lot of North America has been, you know, not the greatest plants, like lots of stupid trees that don't, you know, feed us and things like that. But like there has been, you know, like it used to be a barren desert here, and it's not anymore. It's very tropical.
So
but who knows?
What do you think he said? So did you hear how he said, how could, he was saying the conspiracies about NASA providing fake satellite views of Earth, why would they have, if they're fake, why would they show the global greening of CO2? And so he's using the two, it's like he's
contradicting,
it's killing two birds with one stone, discounting two conspiracies with one.
He's trying to get really clever. He probably spent a couple days writing this and is like, he's like, I got everyone.
He's like, what? Why would they show this agenda on this fake footage that they're making?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
It's like, well,
it's like, that's not really a good point.
Yeah.
Perhaps NASA is legit. The Earth is spherical, there has been some global greening, and we are in a climate crisis. Often the logical conclusion is the correct one.
What is a climate crisis?
Climate.
Bangladesh plastic waste.
That's just like it's like a manufactured word. Like it's not even, it doesn't mean anything. And it's definitely like there'd be people like, this is like goes to like Greta Thunberg or whatever, like, oh, people are dying because of climate change.
Everybody panic.
Where? Dying because of climate change? Like this is the same thing he's pushing.
They're probably dying of economic reasons more than climate.
No, of course.
Look at what happened in Sri Lanka.
I mean, there's poverty, but what they show us on TV is usually the extreme. Or what they scared us with growing up.
That one tie. That's a joke. Or is it?
We want our freedom for the world.
Conspiracy theories such as climate change denial allow companies who act shadily and secretly to have less accountability placed on them, and it creates social division that doesn't help the public, but instead actually helps the very people conspiracy theories usually are about casting suspicion on. The same is true of anti-vegan conspiracies, which serve the interests of the meat, dairy, and egg industries that also have a long history of corruption and harm, which brings us on nicely to the more specific links between veganism and conspiracies. Now, this video is not just about anti-vegan conspiracies, but also about how conspiracy theories perpetuated by vegans are actually harmful to veganism as a whole. In a previous video, I discussed how spirituality can be an enemy to veganism, citing how pseudoscientific and spiritual views can lead to ex-veganism. But we can actually see more and more examples of this within so-called conspirituals, a term used to describe New Age and pseudoscientific wellness beliefs becoming intertwined with conspiracy theories. You see, the thing is, before veganism was mainstream, many conspiracy theorists were brought over to veganism precisely because it was fringe. It was a way of taking a stand against the system and casting suspicion on what we are told. It was a way of defining yourself as being different from the crowd, or sheeple. In the same way that diet and wellness are tied in with conspiracy theories now, the same has been true for a long time. And that connection actually brought people over to veganism. This is why veganism has often been tied in with diets like raw veganism, fruitarianism, and the alkaline diet, all of which are substantiated with claims that are pseudoscientific and tied into things like naturalistic fallacies, conspiracy theories, and New Age spirituality. Take this post, for example, from a person who also promotes the alkaline diet as well, and the post is titled, as you can see, The Global Warming Lie. Right at the bottom, it says that the planet is heating up naturally through a planetary ascension process, not global warming. The person wants "do not buy the BS," which is actually pretty ironic. There's also David Wolf, one of the more prominent and well-known raw foodists, who's also a flat earther, among other things, and John Rose, another raw foodist, who is also a Holocaust denier, among other things. Or you get people like this,
like discounting, like, oh, one thing about this guy, therefore everything he says, like that's such a huge fallacy. It's not even funny. You know, and this is the debate guy. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, I mean, like the whole
like be real. Like if we're gonna be calling out these people for having shitty arguments about stuff, like we can't have shitty arguments. Like you can't just like look at the microaggression he's having right now. Like he's really like irritated about conspiracy, and he seems to think that he knows everything. And this is like, you know, this is why I'm a eternal agnostic, is because like I don't know everything. nobody knows anything really. And so anyone who says they know anything or takes stands like this, it's just like, you're losing me. Like like it's just, you don't know. So you shouldn't get so, proud and up, like you're talking down to people, talking down to millions of his probably viewers. There's plenty of fucking flat earthers that watch Earthling Ed, I'm sure. And he's just sitting here. It's like, okay, you want to lose people? All right. Lose people about something you have no idea about, that you haven't looked into for 5 minutes. Okay, that's probably not a good move.
It seems to be he's trying to he's exchanging like alienating some of his audience and losing people for gaining credibility amongst the mainstream, I guess, by talking against conspiracy people. And I love how he used the word sheeple, like he threw it in there, like, oh, I know your guys is weird, like I know all these people.
Wink, wink.
Yeah. Wink, wink.
Oh, and like the thing with like John Rose, like I haven't watched a lot of his content, but I've watched like some of it, and he makes some really interesting points where it just kind of makes you have to get back to the drawing board and question how much we really know. And like to just discount that by saying he's like a Holocaust denier and making that be the
right
thing to focus on. It's like you're taking away from like years of material he's made and just like boiling it down to that. I mean, yeah.
Hey, there's that thing again, the goat fucker. He built all these bridges, but he's just a goat fucker.
Yeah, you can't just throw the baby out with the bathwater and just, I don't know, it's dangerous.
I mean, I'm not like here to back up David Avocado Wolf, but like it is a fallacy to just blow someone off for something like that, especially if you haven't looked into it. Because if he looked into it, he'd be like, oh, whatever, like that's cool. People are into that. I could see why people are into that, but he's like, nah, fucking flat earthers. Like, oh boy, come on, Ed.
I mean, that's like people who say, "Oh, I've seen vegans are all weak and skinny, unhealthy." So that's why I'm not gonna. That's like it's the same fallacy.
He's using metard logic, in a different way.
Yeah.
And
how many skinny?
We have to rise above.
Yeah, and how many skinny fat people are there that eat meat all the time? I was one of them for a while. Like I was like obese for a little bit. Like I was kind of chubby when I was like a teenager, and then I'll say cannabis kind of helped to boost my metabolism a little bit and be a little more active. But once I started going vegan, it's like the weight maintenance was no problem at all. The only time I ever have issues with like weight, and I guess the main point I was trying to make is that I've never really tested myself and like seeing if I could become one of the like bulky, bodybuilding sort of vegans, but I'm sure I'd have no problem if I actually started putting my mind to it. It's just an easy way to be like, oh, look at all these skinny, weak vegans.
Yeah, we've often toyed with the idea of hitting it hard for a couple months.
Yeah.
But it's just, I've been a little buff before, and it just, you got to eat so much to maintain it.
Well,
and then like, what are you using it for? Like aside from just vanity, like it's like,
there's the whole misconception. There's all these influencers that are saying they're natural and they're not too. So we have this whole aesthetic applied to, we think it's naturally attainable and it's not. Yeah. It's a messed up male beauty standard or body standard.
And such a low percentile of people can even with steroids look that way. It's just like what someone was saying earlier. What was it? We were watching something where they were like, oh, on YouTube, Instagram's full of these hot chicks. And it's like, well, they're just pulling the rare ones out.
Oh, that was Tate.
Yeah. It's just like, you can't take, like, it's a false male, like all these dudes that are like, all these dudes that worship all these bodybuilders on my Facebook page. Holy shit. It's so weird. I post about this, they come out of the woodwork and they're like frothing at the mouth. It's like, dude, they're like, all these guys are natural, and it's like, oh my god, are you fucking kidding me? You've really fallen for this. And that's why Joey Schwartz in our debate didn't want to give me an example of someone he thought was healthy, because he knew every single person he thinks is healthy is on steroids. Like,
like gear, like every single one of them.
Yep.
Well, that's what's frustrating too, is that like I've never had any interest in any sort of like the whole thing of paying attention or keeping up with people who are like successful bodybuilders. I've never really had any interest in that until people are like, oh, look at all these weak vegans. It's like, well, here's some examples.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, no.
it's
They've
just
like
a-
forced us to go find these guys that are like just as big as all these other dudes. And it's like, okay. And they're like, oh, well, he was probably ate meat growing up. And it's like, okay, then you're saying you don't need to eat meat now? Cool. You know,
Yeah.
it's like they have nothing. They just fling out whatever.
Yeah, just the people who are stuck to the whole like old
No,
school.
oh, they're on steroids. And it's like, so steroids produces protein in the body of a vegan? Because I thought you said proteins don't get enough
Steroids
vegan.
shouldn't work then. even if
Yeah,
you're
they
vegan.
shouldn't work because you're not, it's not producing protein in you. Like that doesn't make any sense. But you know, like we always know, we always have these arguments with these guys. They don't have anything for us,
and they never get
They
resolved.
never learn.
Yeah.
No, and that's why what Lifting Vegan Logic, his channel's kind of cool because he's all like he finds really tough arguments, you know, and pulls them out and is like, hey, I'm kind of like, I need you guys' help on this one. This one's kind of hard because I'm always like, dude, challenge us at some point. Someone challenge me, like, fuck. Bringing these like 20-year-old wives' tales as science, you know, when like we've researched shit for like people, oh, you don't know anything about farming. Actually, motherfucker, I'm kind of an expert at crop deaths at this point. Like, I sure as
Yeah,
hell
you're like
have
Mr.
to know
Crop
more
Deaths
than
now.
you. Yeah, like, dude, know more about me and Allie know more about this shit than probably most of these farmers do. Like, it's crazy. And just because you're a farmer doesn't mean you know everything about a certain field of study, you know? Like, it's wild. But yeah.
A popular medical medium, someone whose diet protocols are plant-based but are deeply anti-scientific. The guy literally claims that a spirit visited him and gave him the ability to...
Oh my God, didn't I just tell you about this? We just talked about this. I think even on air, like he needs to stop telling the story about him being a medium and seeing people's sicknesses because it's really not helping him as a, you know, like, I don't know, this guy, medical medium, he's written a bunch of books. It's basically, it's how to reverse autoimmune diseases and lots of normal stuff that people get with, you know, based off of a vegan diet. And I've seen people helped by it. I've seen his Instagram. He's got like any post he does has like thousands of comments of people like, you changed my life, you know, like it's all this, it's like, but the dude's story is kind of honky, you know, and the first time I heard it, I'm like, this story is not good for him as like a you know, for his like product that he's selling. Because he's like, oh, I was like a ghost came to me and told me that my grandpa had cancer, and I told my grandpa, and it turns out he had cancer, and it's like the dumb story, but like the dude's got good shit, but like it's kind of, you know, again, it's like, oh, the goat fucker, you know,
A
like
bunch of a bunch of theatrics
Yeah.
just to tell people to eat plants.
And so Ed obviously is like trying to, I don't know what he's doing with this thought process, but he's not, I mean, hopefully he's all psych, just kidding, but I don't think he is just kidding. But it's not very very good arguments at all overall.
Scan bodies for disease by sight.
I'm just going to take a look straight here. I'm talking to spirit, so
yeah, see,
just going through every organ.
He's got to stop with this shit. Yeah. Oh, he got on the Kardashians. Wow. He's got big.
And she's all like, when he says like, he plays it down, and he even says like, oh, you probably think I'm just full of it right now, and she's like, no, I fully believe you. Like both sides of it are just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, his books are fucking dope, and he's promoting veganism like on a level that I don't think anyone else is, maybe even at this point. So it's like this weird, like, oh, I'm gonna pick something I don't like about a vegan and go after him, despite the fact that he's doing good shit. But yeah, all this stuff is a little weird.
With you, it's definitely the liver. You have really high deposits of copper.
He's like,
on her
bitch.
tits, like,
So you've been drinking too much. You've been doing too much coke. She's all, "Oh, fuck."
That price sounds so far fetched, right?
No, I believe in it.
So now he prescribes his dietary protocols on people by channeling this spirit, which tells him what's wrong with people. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? Presumably nothing, right? If some mystical spirit is able to diagnose illness so easily. For instance, I'm sure of someone who developed a friendship with a medical medium and even did assistant work for him, and whose family had a history of cancer, and who also had gene mutations correlated to an increased risk of developing breast cancer. Well, I'm sure if they developed a lump on their breast, medical medium with his spirit would be able to tell it's breast cancer, right? I think we all sadly know the answer to that question and what eventually happened to that poor lady. So what do you think medical medium thinks about things like, I don't know, let's say chemtrails?
We're also talking in code, major code today.
I think we all know the answer to that question too. You see, medical medium is such a quack that when he goes for a walk in the park, people try and feed him bread. Although, side note,
That was fucking hilarious.
Quack.
Great.
Jesus Christ.
Come on, Ed.
That's so frustrating.
Ed the comedian.
Ed. Come on, man. Jesus Christ.
please don't try and feed ducks bread. Now, this is not me saying that everyone who subscribes to these diets also
Durian Rider would disagree with that.
believes in these other things. Someone can eat a raw plant-based diet and not believe in everything else I've just referenced. However, for a long time, variations on plant-based diets, such as raw veganism, were the alternative diets of conspirituals. These are people who came to eating plants because of their conspiratorial thinking, and their influence brought other people.
But global warming is a conspiracy theory, Ed, that you're pushing.
People have a similar mindset to eating plants too. However, this has begun to change, and for two main reasons. Firstly, if you're eating a woo-woo variation of a plant-based diet that is not grounded in science,
oh, he's on fire right now. He's
grounded in New Age dogmatism and conspiracy,
hair
and you
off
eat an unhealthy diet as a consequence, well, don't be surprised when you end up not feeling so good.
He's getting sassy.
Yeah, no, he's getting super sassy. And that's like, I don't even necessarily, I agree with him, but it's like, I think Braxton said it earlier. It's like you're like throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Yeah. Like it's like, yes, like we have to be careful. Or veganism
He's
can be
clearly
used,
jelly that medical medium is as big as he is.
Oh.
And so it's just internal squabbles, you know, like he's just all these guys, you know, all these guys, once you get to know them, you start to see, oh, whoa, they aren't this infallible human that they seem to be on their YouTube pages, you know, like. And it's stuff like this that they're kind of, you know, they're kind of outing themselves.
Sponsored by Essential Nutrients.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hardly rocket science. Although, then again, rocket science only really works if you believe in gravity.
Well, gravity's still technically a theory.
But you also get vegans who think everything can be cured from eating organic plants, who view nature as some divine, unquestionable entity. And as a consequence, supplements in Western medicine are an affront to the divinity of nature. The problem here is also that by approaching plant-based diets from a pseudo-scientific perspective, you also risk going back to eating animal products because of the same reason. I mean, why are so many of the highest profile ex-vegans those who used to extol the virtues of raw veganism and things like long water fasts? Why is it that some of the earliest carnivores are also crazy conspiracy theorists who used to be raw plant eaters and then transitioned to eating raw meat and organs? And this is how conspiracy theories that we may turn a blind eye to initially because, hey, at least these people are eating plants, right, actually become damaging to veganism and importantly to the animals. If people are eating plants because they think it's...
You know what's damaging to veganism? Making it seem like all vegans are libs.
Yeah, no shit.
You want to talk about what damages veganism? Holy shit.
Yeah, that's really frustrating. I can't tell you how many times I've been
The
like,
bane of our existence.
yeah, like I've been arguing with people in Facebook comments and they would like automatically be like, oh, go get your next jab. And like all these different like talking points that are associated with liberals. I'm like, dude, you don't even know.
When we did the first debate with JD Farms, which is what I want to call him from now on, so no one will be able to find him, know who we're talking about. we had like the callers that called in afterwards. Everyone thought we were libs, and we're like, why do you think we're libs? Like, we're freaking ANCAPs. What are you talking about?
They're like,
They're like, oh, vegans aren't they're only libs, and it's like all the vegans I know are ANCAPs. Like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, they assume that we believe that.
Do I look like a lib to you?
Come on now.
Yeah, so that's the most no one wants to be a vegan because it's connected to libs. That's how they got the conservatives in the 60s to support the war, was making all the hippies sing about no war. And so it alienated all the conservatives that were anti-war, and so the war kept going. It's the same kind of shit.
Yeah. Yep.
Exist in the body when you're eating an alkaline diet, or because raw plants will help them reach the next level of consciousness, that rationalization is built in a flimsy stack of cards that can come crashing down at any point. Take Tim Sheaf. He was a urine-drinking flat earther. He spoke highly of eating raw, of fruitarianism, of month-long water fasts. Him announcing he was no longer vegan meant he was invited onto national television to talk about it. To this day, he is still referenced in articles criticizing veganism. Or what if they don't quit, such as Zana Samsonova, the fruitarian and raw plant eater who died because of her diet? Not only did she die because of this,
We don't
but
know
reporting
that.
called her a vegan influencer. And then what about this headline? Vegan mother jailed for life after 18-month-old son starved to death on diet of raw fruits and vegetables.
Well, if you researched that article, you'd find out that it was a dead-end article. There was just an article written. There was nothing else came of it. No court, no jail, no anything else came out about it. And there's this family that killed their little kid. They fucking fed him mangoes all day or some bullshit. And I feel like Mike or someone covered it, and they were just like, there's nothing else. Like, it was just a bogus story that actually caught like mainstream, got aggregated onto a lot of big mainstream.
It's like Joe Rogan talking about the
fucking
student somewhere.
He's all, my friend told me their school provided cat boxes because the kid identified as being a cat. And then they found that it was a fake story, and Joe's all, oh, oops, who'd I hear that from? like, dude. And that's what all these guys just repeat all the same things over and over again. The Maasai and the fucking Inuits.
Yeah, and this kind of stuff's like damaging too, because these like sensationalized articles that never actually go anywhere, they're just inconclusive. Like that kind of stuff is used to, I guess, pave the way for these like bigger arguments. Like, for instance, I was kind of talking about this, but like I have my dog that, she's been having some health issues lately, and just going to say it's extremely frustrating when you're looking around for advice on how to deal with some of this stuff. And whenever you see somebody bring up, like in a community that's more well-versed on like, I guess, topics like anti-cancer and all these other things, like just general health issues, when somebody mentions being vegan, all of a sudden the conversation just goes into all these old wives' tales of just like, no, they can't eat vegetables. No, actually they have to be on the keto diet. Like it's a disgusting, I don't know, the whole thing. They're always using these old arguments that are just so stale and tired when there's been a lot of new science coming out.
Well, it just shows how far we've come along in our arguments, because those arguments, all these stale old arguments, we used to not know the answers for them. And now we know 1,000 answers for every single one. And we're 10 steps ahead of these guys at all times, pretty much.
Yeah.
They got nothing whatsoever but regurgitated Joe Rogan freaking carnivore doctor bullshit.
Bro science.
That has absolutely zero science behind it. And they're just going to dismiss 200 years of meta studies. Like, oh, it's just nothing. Oh, yeah, it's just nothing. Oh, it's all corrupt. No, you must not know how to read studies if you think they're corrupt. There's definitely like fail safes and, things in case bad information shows up, it gets weeded out. That's not how meta studies work. Like, it's like these people just don't know anything. And then you find out, you know, they accidentally post a picture of their frickin' Trader Joe's and you see that they eat pizzas and stuff like that. And you're like, oh, so you're not,
Yeah.
you know, and like Rogan's eating McDonald's every couple days on his show. You know, it's like, wait, I thought you were Mr. fucking carnivore guy.
Bow hunter.
Yeah. And you're you know,
Only eats elk.
elk that
Oh yeah, elk. Yeah, that's his thing.
he goes into the bush with a knife in his teeth and wrestles them down and cuts their throat.
Yeah.
I'm fine with people doing that.
Yeah, because then there would be less of them.
Yeah. There'd be, you know, like, exactly.
They'd
They'd realize it's
mauled by
not
a
as easy.
fucking 12-foot tall elk.
They'll realize it's not as easy and it might not have been our natural diet.
Yeah.
Things like this, vegan parents who are doing everything right are told that they're child abusers, and this myth that children can't be vegan persists. Children can be vegan. It just requires the parents to believe in actual science. Sadly, these people are a danger to themselves, to children, and of course to veganism. And we might think that these alternative diets are not related to conspiracy theories, but they are deeply tied into them. They're about questioning Western medicine, about falling into naturalistic fallacies, about a distrust in experts in science, about how cures are being hidden from us. This pseudoscience and these wider conspiracies are an enemy of
Cures
veganism.
aren't being
An
hidden
enemy
from us? Is that what he just said?
Yeah.
Wow.
They most definitely are.
Yeah, because the gazillions of dollars that has gone into cancer research for the past 100 years, and they have nothing to show for it.
But he's trying to say that, oh, if you at all subscribe to these beliefs or think the
You're
earth
hurting-
is flat,
you're hurting animals.
You're hurting veganism. Yeah.
Animals.
If you're a
animals.
vegan and you
He's
believe
saying you're
this,
hurting animals by doing it.
basically,
Oh
yeah.
God.
Yes. And that is
This is like the gun control people. It's like if you own an assault rifle, you're
babies.
harming children. Yeah, you're killing
babies.
You kill babies.
Holy crap.
of rationality and a direct affront
Oh, we're talking about rationality, huh?
to our
I
intellectual
could see where maybe it's a disservice to the animals. Like when I was at AV, we were taught not to talk about the environment and health because it's a disservice to the main goal of holding people accountable for harming animals, not holding people anonymous for the voiceless.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like you're not supposed to go into the weeds about, oh yeah, it's better for the not ALF. It's the one where you talk to people on the street. Yeah, but yeah, it's a disservice to the animals to talk about the environment because it's nebulous. You know, it's a nebulous topic that doesn't hold people accountable for paying somebody to slit an animal's throat. You know, talking about how many CO2 milligrams are in the air because of a cow fart doesn't hold people accountable.
Before this started, before I saw what he was saying, that's why I assumed he was probably going to get to, is be like, we're wasting our time on this conspiracy shit when we could be saving animals. That's why I assumed he was going towards, but he's completely not gone in that direction.
Yeah.
Many people now place more trust in low-quality pixelated Facebook and Instagram posts than they do science and experts. But in recent years, something else has begun to change. Now, the narrative used
the millions and millions of scientists that say man-made global warming is real that don't exist.
To be, hey, you know, you've been lied to about plants. But now the narrative is, hey, you're being lied to about meat. Meat is actually a super...
Let's talk about science for a little bit, actually. Because a lot of people have a really hard... A lot of people don't understand that if you are the powers that be, who have all the money and resources in the world, you could convince everyone that bad science is real science. Science isn't... And science is always being updated. So science, everything is a theory. And these people that think that push this whole, these people think gravity's a theory. It is a theory. Like everything in science is theory and everything can be changed in science, and there absolutely is absolutely all the chances in the world for the powers that be or government to influence science in a way that deceives us. So this whole trust science, it's like the most vaguest. It's like saying all processed foods are bad. It's just like, no, like this trust science. Science has
It's
been
it's a religion.
about a lot of things. Yeah. What was the Sunny in Philadelphia? The science or scientists or what was it? Oh, you guys don't know what I'm talking about. Sunny in Philadelphia had a good, super good argument for what was it? Atheism? No, against atheism using scientists, because some scientists have been wrong so many times in history.
What a guy says in a book, basically, it like draws all these parallels.
You're still,
food, and it's the best thing you can eat. And guess what? It's not the meat that's bad for you. It's actually plants. Plants, well, they're trying to kill you.
It turns out that the plants contain the chemicals that do more warfare than that cows go.
Says some guy who looks like shit.
So ultimately, it's hard to kill a cow, but that's the very best.
That's some old guy, obviously on TRT, who looks like fucking crap. That's what's crazy about all these dudes. They all look like shit. Like all these dudes, they all have these sunken dark eyes. They're all podcasting together. They're all like looking, like they're not like smiling. They're not having a good time. They're all like quiet. Like, so weird.
And yet he's a few steps away from looking like Flav. Corny get up.
But this guy's on testosterone. Look at him. Look at his fucking arms. Like, give me a fucking break.
Probably shaves his arms.
It's the worst thing for you. They kill you from the inside out.
And so interestingly, now there's been a complete 180. Carnivore influencers now peddle pseudoscience and drum up fear by linking veganism with wider conspiracy theories about the World Economic Forum and Bill Gates and how we're going to be subjugated with plants and bugs.
Bill and World Economic Forum, like globalists.
Which is why it's not vegan.
Are so desperate to get people to stop eating meat. It just makes me more like I believe more than ever that meat is important.
Yeah, so how are they pushing?
Because vegans exist, it makes me.
How are they pushing veganism if they want people to eat bugs and they simultaneously own all the cattle farms? How is that pushing veganism? And subsidizing it with your tax dollars.
No, every week some idiots, the government's trying to make you vegan. What the fuck just came out of your mouth? Like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Go to the store. Yeah, they're really trying to make us be vegan.
To eat, because I think they want to weaken people, because weak people are easier to control if you keep.
Yeah, because it's because if you're buff, you're more resilient to being brainwashed. What? Is that what you're saying?
It won't wait till you end up having to go to the hospital because your heart's all clogged up, not just from the jab, but from what you're eating.
Yeah. The powers that be want you in their hospitals is what they want.
A vital protein source away from people.
Come from plants, dude. All the protein comes from plants.
They're going to be weak.
They position themselves as warriors against tyranny, standing up to defend humanity against our oppressive overlords who wish to feminize us with soy and who want to take farmers' lands for the Great Reset. We now have grifters like Tucker Carlson and Jordan Peterson taking advantage of these new narratives to feed their audiences with yet more misinformation and fear-mongering.
Plants and bugs for you and your children, peasants. And the sooner you get accustomed to it, or else, the better.
The irony is conspiracy theorists talk about Project Fear and how the everyday person is a victim of Project Fear while spending hour after hour absorbing the most terrifying content you can think of. And because more extreme conspiracy theories are kind of like a gravitational pull, they begin to draw in lots of things within them, which is how we end up with conspiracy theories about Bill Gates putting microchips in plant-based burgers or how Impossible Foods use actual human flesh. And so now we have the narrative that we should eat meat because the experts, academics, and scientists tell us that we shouldn't. And so while it used to be that the fringe nature of plant-based diets brought some people over to it, the opposite is now true. Because veganism is mainstream now, and because governments, organizations, academics, and experts are slowly beginning to recognize the need for changing how we eat, well, meat has now become the food choice of the conspiracy theorist. So now you hear about the vegan agenda being pushed by the global elite and how eating meat has become a symbol of resistance. But these broader ideas are, of course, not new. Rallying against the elites or the cosmopolitan or against academics is a tried and tested method for those who wish to antagonize the social fabric and boost.
And then it's a convenient excuse for them to keep doing something they know is wrong. They know it's bad. It's just like, oh, cool. I'm just gonna add this to my resume of things I talk about to justify having a bad diet that is morally and, you know, as like healthfully corrupt.
Their own notoriety. Because hey, if the evidence contradicts what you want to be true, you have two options: challenge the way you think or attack the evidence. Oh, the WHO said red meat is a class 2 carcinogen and processed meat is a class 1 carcinogen because of a review of 800 studies. Oh, and the UN's recent IPCC report, which involved over 780 scientists analyzing over 66,000 peer-reviewed pieces of research, wanted to recommend a plant-based diet as a way to protect the environment? Yeah. Nice try, George Soros. This is why I only trust chiropractors. And this is where ethical vegans who also believe in these conspiracies find themselves with a significant amount of cognitive dissonance to contend with. They believe in the conspiracies about global elites and new world orders, but also believe that veganism is good and that a plant-based diet is the way forward. But how many of these vegans will turn their back on veganism as the conspiracies they subscribe to begin more and more to include veganism and plant-based diets? The problem is that while a true skeptic is led by evidence, extreme conspiracy theories distort evidence and distort reality.
If you believe in conspiracy theories, you're going to end up not being vegan anymore. Wow.
Oh my god. That's the bone I had to pick with this video. I was like, dude, I wouldn't be vegan if I didn't go down this path.
This was my first conspiracy, like the major one that really got me like looking a little deeper. It's like, look how much corruption there is, like the Edward Bernays propaganda stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
Bacon for breakfast.
Yeah, like Dr. Greger actually put me on to all the Edward Bernays propaganda, like the history of that before I knew about that like Century of Self documentary and all that. Like I didn't realize how deep it went. And then I was like, oh, the same guy who did the Torches for Freedom, getting like feminists to smoke cigarettes as like a sign of like masculinity and all that. That's the same thing that led into like, well, not only tobacco, but then meat and then cereal, sugar, like the bad sugar.
And taxation. Don't forget taxation.
Yeah, true. Like they don't realize it's all the same playbook and they're just being a billboard for one of the most corrupt propaganda schemes to ever like, well, yeah, to ever see the world, basically.
First wave feminism was designed by the CIA to get women taxed.
Yeah, new tax base.
Yeah,
break up the family.
And they all fucking lined up for it. It's hilarious. I'm writing a joke about it.
Coming out sooner than Padini's, right?
More science showing the health and
yeah, it is because I'm making us do jokes about like lib stuff.
Environmental benefits of a plant-based diet is published, for example, and the more support it gets from the public, from experts, and from governments, well, the more these anti-vegan views will be solidified in the minds of conspiracy theorists. As soon as you make experts and mainstream acceptance the enemy, the more entrenched you become in your views about something as that thing becomes more intellectually and scientifically valid. We're vegan, of course, for ethical reasons, but veganism is supported by science and data as well, and that goes into our decision-making as vegans driven by ethics and rationality. And so where does this leave us? As conspiracy theories continue to grow and social media continues to amplify misinformation and disinformation, what does that mean for movements grounded in rationality, science, and
hold on. Social media does not amplify it; it censors us at every turn.
Mm-hmm.
That's
I can't tell you how
true.
I can't tell you how many YouTube comments I've had where I started to get into like the brass tacks of like propaganda, Edward Bernays, what's his name, Robert Atkins. If you mention certain names and you like pair them together with certain words, your comments get shadow banned. I have checked this by like opening up my comments in a private tab just to make sure. I'm like, okay, so that one actually just conveniently disappeared.
Vanished.
Yeah.
Like they delete it before you were even done finishing writing it.
Yeah.
It's just
like,
gone.
This guy's gonna be a problem. Got to get rid of that. It's frustrating.
That's a conspiracy in itself, Ed.
Yeah.
To combat this.
We all know our buddy Joey Schwartz got 20,000 followers after making three anti-vegan videos.
Wow.
Leads
Would you look at that?
Yeah.
Over into our politics and into populist political rhetoric, conspiratorial language, and dog whistling is now
So what he's saying is don't critically think or else you won't be vegan anymore.
very
You'll end up eating meat if you critically think.
Like
much
have
mainstream.
both.
Take these comments from the UK MP Jacob Rees-Mogg, who criticised the WHO, the European Court on Human Rights, and COP, calling them international cabals and quangos, telling hundreds of millions of people how to lead their lives. And he warned about elites. Or take this clip from GB News and the deliberately vague references to some kind of secret malevolent force.
Now, I've got viewers and listeners who are vegan and they love it. No problem. If that is your choice, go for it. But in time, I fear it's the authorities that will be choosing what we all eat. And it will be soya, burgers, vegan bacon, and vegetarian lasagna. Welcome to hell.
These subtle insinuations are rife within mainstream media now, but still contribute to the overarching theories that fuel conspiracy theorists. I also haven't discussed the pharma protests in the EU. And even though they're not strictly being driven by conspiracy theories, conspiracy theorists are jumping on proposed farming regulations and using them as evidence to push their anti-science, often anti-Semitic and anti-vegan conspiracy narrative.
Where did that come from?
What else is he gonna get? Holy shit.
Damn.
Easy.
Here's my.
Just had to throw that in there.
Oh.
Care to elaborate on that, Ed?
There's a
Is
lot
it a Jewish conspiracy to make people vegan? Is it a coincidence that Tel Aviv has the most vegan restaurants anywhere on the planet?
God. I wonder.
Even though we live in a world where logic, science, and intellectual integrity are derided and ignored by many in favor of ideological dogmatism and self-centered grandstanding in pursuit of notoriety and social influence, and even though we are now being told by some to distrust science, ethics, and experts, the truth is change is happening. Because even though for some, veganism will be dragged into this toxic worldview, for most, it will continue to become more and more the rational, scientifically grounded, and ethically right thing to do. All right, guys, that brings us to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you found it interesting.
Least favorite video of yours ever, Ed. Least favorite video ever.
some good points there. He really did, but then man,
problematic.
He just puts it so far into your head when all this stuff is going on, because it's like there's so much, like every little point that he makes, it's like, no, okay, you're right here, but over here you have to like go off in this other subject. Like he's making a mess when he makes videos like these.
Are you a conspiracy theorist? You might be anti-Semitic then.
And you won't be vegan for long. I just know you won't be vegan for long.
Yeah. It's like, why can't you be both? I mean, you know what I mean. Why can't all of those?
What's up, Tommy?
What's going on?
Yo.
Thanks for gracing us with the present, bro. How you been?
You know, the world's on fire, blah blah blah. Just waiting for the squeeze plays and the cryptos and get out of this ghetto ass place I'm at.
Yeah.
Nice picture, dude.
Crypto's getting good.
Unless you're holding the 99%.
Are you still fucking holding Solana, dude?
I never had Solana.
I thought you were a
I'm an
Solana guy.
XRP.
You liar.
I'm an XRP.
Oh yeah,
XRP.
You need to, dude, live the happy life and not own the XRP.
No, XRP is fine. Did you see my Conspiranati, my Illuma Cryptonati special I did? It took me forever to get to it because I was high, but between Crow 777 getting from an Egyptian bloodline up to the Massini family, I've connected the Massini family up to the guy that founded Ripple and XRP.
What the fuck?
So it's a bloodline. It's a bloodline of bankers that have created XRP. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been telling everyone that for fucking 10 years.
And that was the
since
coin I
XRP.
picked. I'm in the top 10% in the world for XRP holders. I'm like an elitist already. I didn't even know.
Club, man. You're in the club, basically.
Yeah, until they require the mark, and then I'm just poor and martyred. Yeah.
Hey, speaking of crypto, what are your guys' thoughts on Monero?
I don't like it.
No?
Never had it. Always spoke out against it. There's no point. Bitcoin is already as secure as you want it to be. But
in my conspiracy thing, I showed that Bitcoin was the trial run and that these people had started Ripple before they released Bitcoin in 2000.
I've heard that before. It's very
Yeah,
plausible.
I
I'm not
laid out-
some.
No, I laid it out. I just can't remember it off the top of my head.
I posted the other day in 2011. I did a post that was like, "What if Bitcoin is just, a plot to get us off money? Like all the old shit."
It
Like
was, BTC
I
stands for-
completely. I'm not some guy who's gonna say there's no way and that it's completely foolproof. Like it absolutely could have been, could be bullshit the whole time. But I'm gonna take advantage of it while I can.
Yeah. I'm holding some Bitcoin for the run, but yeah, it was. I forget what
But all the-
BTC stands for. That's like trial run.
All the privacy coins are just preying off of people not understanding how Bitcoin works.
Yeah, and XRP was chosen by the Federal Reserve before the SEC trial was going on.
Yeah, I know that. But
and everything algos, like all charts are matching each other. There's no reason for like AMC and XRP to have the same chart, but they do because it's just all algo manipulated.
no, it's just a piece of shit coin with shitty fucking
like-
fundamentals
like
and a
even-
shitty story and owned and will be used for shitty things.
No,
And
like
most
even
people that are into crypto are at least kind of anarchists, and so they don't like that shit. It's just the
No,
people that are
like-
in it for money are into the XRP.
even companies of totally different fields are matching up in charts. It shouldn't be happening. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like nothing is the classic market function right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about the next 6 months, though. I'm a little worried that we're already almost at all-time high. It's a little odd.
No, it's
Hey,
gonna
girlfriend.
go up, but you got to watch out for when they ditch it over the electricity consumption.
That's not
Like
gonna
that's
happen.
that's how the
That's been
left
around
is gonna
forever.
attack Bitcoin because it's
That's
got a
been around
high
forever,
electricity.
Tommy.
What?
That FUD has been around forever. The
I
central
know.
bank.
See, this is what I'm thinking. There's a chance that if Bitcoin stays, let's say we have this power outage, this grid down event. What if whenever thing
No
comes
such
back
thing
up?
as a grid down event. There are many
What if-
grids, not just one grid that goes down.
Oh, it doesn't take much
whole
for us to go down as a country. Yeah, it's all been like finagled together over the development of our power grid.
Conspiracy theory.
But what? No, I
If
know
you took-
that is
hold
like.
on, hold on. Do you think Bitcoin uses more power or every bank with every computer that exists in the world?
And all
No,
the aircraft carriers that force people to continue using it.
No, the Bitcoin transaction is power. That's how you have the safety in it. Is the power consumption can't be faked by like hacking somebody and taking it. You'd notice like when the Griswolds turn their Christmas lights on, it's like doing Bitcoin transactions. So it's like it'd be hard to fake that. But no, I'm saying when the grid comes back up, they could have changed the underlying Bitcoin coding.
Oh, that's a big conspiracy theory, man.
Well, do you know BlackRock's buying it all up just to leave it on a cold storage in a drawer and just be like, there,
That's
we bought
good
the
for
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin, bro. That's good for Bitcoin, though. That makes it more scarce, thus more valuable.
Right?
That's how.
Like when Ripple
less
just
on the market,
deletes
the value goes up.
when Ripple just deletes their holdings of it as a company.
Well, they're not. It's an inflation. XRP is inflationary. They can just keep printing it and
No, they can't, and
devalue
it
just like they do the dollar.
It destroys itself as you use it, so that's what makes it keep going up. And then their half of it, they might just nix it to make it appealing to
The CEOs were selling.
Yeah.
Selling.
Yeah. But yeah, I used to do stocks the legit way, but all my crypto is entirely based on conspiracy research and biblical, like biblical paranoia.
No, all that matters is that you're in the market. It doesn't matter what coins you have. As long as you have coins, that's all that matters. You'll make money.
Until they get rid of them, because
people hit me up every day. They're like, "Oh, what do you think about this one coin or this one coin?" It's like, buy it, you'll make money with it. You know, it's like every coin you buy. All that matters is that you're doing it, you're buying it, and you have it.
The only one
and you sell it.
Clarity.
You have to sell it at some point. You can't
Unless
just hold
it's
on to
just
it
the new
forever.
money. I don't know. I think I might just hold XRP forever if it's the new money. Just like what's it called? Stake it. Just stake it for profit.
Bro, I have coins that have gone up 400% in the last 3 months.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what you're doing holding on to XRP through. Like it's insane.
It hasn't happened yet, and really, I haven't had it a whole year.
It's a big cap, dude. It can't go. There's not enough money on the planet for it to go up like you guys think it's going to go up.
It's going to tokenize everything on the planet.
No one's gonna fucking use it. It's a garbage
Everyone will use it.
Just
It's
like
the
the dollar.
bridge
Why
currency.
would they use it? It's just like the dollar.
It is the bridge currency, though. No matter what you want to use, it's gonna turn into XRP to travel, and then turn into what you were wanting when it gets to you. All roads lead to the bridge.
If you're lucky, that's wishful thinking, man.
No, it's research. I connected the Egyptian bloodline to the guy that founded it. Come on. I don't need charts and graphs. That's the devil coin. That's the mark of the beast coin.
Yeah, that's like the little girl that found out all the presidents are related to each other.
And the only ones that aren't isn't Obama.
Yeah,
like
it wasn't
the ones
Obama.
that aren't related are white dudes, and Obama's still related.
Obama was in there too.
But a lot of that has to do with if you trace us back far enough, we all start linking to like Genghis Khan and different people.
Yeah.
Because there was just less people.
My family's connected with William Wallace somehow.
My half brother is connected to Abraham Lincoln, but not on my side.
Lincoln was a black guy. Didn't you know that?
LeVar Burton's great grandfather was a Confederate general, like a big time.
Who is it?
Confederate
Old World Florida has a video about Lincoln being a black dude that'll blow your fucking mind, dude. You guys watch that channel?
I'll check it out, but Lincoln
I
said
saw
some
it.
pretty harsh stuff on the Negro.
Huh?
Lincoln had some pretty harsh stuff.
Oh,
to
and
say,
no, that
say compared to like the freeing
was
them.
Lincoln. Who's the general that they think was Lincoln? There's like some general, Robert E. Lee, or no, not Robert Lee. Oh, what's his name? There was some general that was Lincoln, that was actually Lincoln. There's like a double, like he was like a crisis actor, is what I'm trying to say.
So how many
parts in government.
Bidens are you aware of?
I don't know, but this one they put on the news is fucking like minutes from death.
Yeah, there's a right-handed Biden with a tattoo and a left-handed Biden with no tattoo. And I might
It's
have
like the
that
last
backwards.
Star Wars movie. They
It
just
might be
clone
left-handed
Palpatine.
with tattoo. Yeah, I might have it backwards. But he does look like Palpatine.
Yeah.
Do it.
When are we going to do our Alien video, Tommy?
Well,
Remember
here's
you
the
were going to
thing,
interview me about crypto?
Well, every time you come to my channel, you don't hit the link, but
I don't
I've-
see a link, and you're up there alone usually.
yeah,
You're talking about crazy
sometimes
shit,
I'm
dude.
not even sometimes I'm not even watching my chat, but I've seen you there before, and I drop you the link.
You're
and you
still
didn't come up.
battling the channels, huh? The
What else am
panels.
I gonna? Well, I've moved on to making content and battling them, and that's what I
Yeah,
was just
I've
about to
seen that
say.
you've been doing more content.
I'm using the alien to do my special one, globe proof.
I think we need to hire you to produce this channel because you have so much cool graphics and shit that you know how to do.
I do.
It would make
I
it a
do.
lot cooler looking, I'm sure.
I do. I'm about to drop a new layout on Spurg News probably tomorrow. I'm trying to
word?
work on it right now.
Dude, I can't wait for that movie. It's the Civil War movie.
Okay.
Which one?
What kind of movie?
Okay. Yeah, and your profile picture there.
Yeah. Okay. What kind of
Who is that?
Americans are you?
What
It's
kind
just
of American are you?
Yeah, man. It's like it would be better to be in World War III than an American Civil War. American Civil War is just an ongoing purge where there's no siren in the morning to end it. It just keeps going. It's just people.
It's produced
doing
by
lawless shit.
A24.
Yeah, it's probably gonna suck, but I think it'll be worth watching.
Yeah, it'll be entertaining.
Yeah.
We all wanted to see something of that nature.
Oh,
Its
hey,
time
everyone,
has
put
come.
your-
You want me?
Put
You want me to link the trailer so you get what this dude's about? Because he is
Yeah,
a
let's
meme.
see this shit.
Just in the trailer, he's a meme.
Put it in chat.
All right, hold on.
A24 is everywhere. It's so weird.
Yeah, they're cool.
What is that? What are you talking about?
It's a movie studio.
Yeah, no, they're
Production
fucking-
studio. Yeah.
Midsummer was fucking crazy.
I haven't seen that one.
Ah, you haven't seen that one, Braxton? Did you
No,
watch
I
it?
know it's about some occult shit though.
You've been trying. I told you
know
a
it's-
month ago to watch that movie.
I know it's been a number of weeks, and I feel bad.
No,
because,
that's
like,
the gnarliest of all those movies.
It'll hold your
Yeah.
attention.
It's pretty gnarly. Yeah, it's a
I
very
watched
strange-
the one. What's the one where he builds like the female robot doll characters?
Her, is that the one?
No, not her.
The one?
Automaton or Automata or some shit. I don't know.
Ex Machina or something.
Yeah, Ex Machina. That one. Yeah,
Yeah, that was a pretty crazy movie.
that was pretty good. Yeah.
Especially when the dude figures out, he's like, "Did you model her off of my Pornhub preferences?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I wanted you to really like get
Hey,
sold on it."
spoiler alert, dickhead.
Oh, that's just like at the beginning, whenever he's like telling him that she's a robot. No, crazy stuff happens in that one.
Leftist. Did you see Midsummer, Tommy?
No, it's at 8:20.
Oh yeah, you guys all have to. We just need to stop, and you guys need to go watch that.
Unfortunately, my time has come. I gotta dip.
All right, play that
Yeah,
trailer so you can.
We're at 2.5 hours, so we could probably all kick it. Oh wait, we gotta see this trailer real quick. Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
Just
Devin.
so you know what my pick's about.
Later.
See you, man. And it is the guy from Breaking Bad.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the guy who shoots the kid in Breaking Bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
The weird guy.
He pretty much probably plays that same kind of guy.
Well, we watched him in another movie that was a little weird.
He's wearing
with-
party glasses, and he's like, "Okay, what kind of Americans are you?"
They were like driving through the snow, and he was going to taking his girlfriend to meet his parents, but the mom, but they were both like mega nerds from college, and she like didn't like him anymore. I don't know. It's a weird movie. Made me feel weird. His parents were cool though. Where's this link, Tommy?
Oh, I thought I put it in the back.
Is it in private
Back?
chat?
Oh, you did. Okay, I got it.
I mean, I think there's gonna be cool effects and maybe some mean lines, but I don't know how the movie will be. I'll still check it out. There is a cool shot toward the end of the trailer of like an Apache helicopter just weaving through DC monuments.
The Florida Alliance and the Western forces of Texas and California will be welcomed back to these United States as soon as their illegal secessionist government is deposed.
You don't know what side they're fighting for. Someone's trying to kill us. We are trying to kill them.
824.
There's not enough of them.
States have seceded. The United States Army ramps up activity. The White House issued warnings to the Western forces as well as the Florida Alliance.
Army couldn't pull something off like that.
Let me know if you want to try anything else.
Unrealistic.
Aware there's like a pretty huge civil war going on all across America.
We just try to stay out with what we see on the news. It seems like it's for the best.
Oh shit! Tate.
High point with the single swing.
Western forces will reach the White House on July 4th.
Oh my god.
Get in the car! Get in the car! Move!
You're gonna hang back.
I'm not hanging back.
One nation under
That
indivisible with
like
liberty.
Johnny Knoxville almost. The president.
It's Ron. Ron, what's his name from Community? Or not Community? Fuck that show.
God bless America.
Oh, maybe it was Community.
Gay.
Or no, he's the guy from Parks and Rec. It's Ron something.
Oh, Ron Swanson. The
Yeah,
libertarian.
Ron Swanson. Yeah,
Yeah,
the
he's the
furniture
libertarian.
making, steak eating guy.
Yeah.
See, he's the type of guy. Even vegans, you get kind of chummy with him, wouldn't you? He's a swell dude.
He's libertarian. So you want to watch this video, Braxton?
Sure, even though it'll probably get the blood boiling.
50 minutes.
Yeah, that's the thing that kept me from wanting to watch the whole thing. I did kind of light up the comments a little bit, said a couple inflammatory ones.
Nice.
I don't even know if there's probably been a lot of people talking on there too.
Oh, I get what you're saying. Yeah, this looks stupid. Jimmy Dore. I feel like I've seen a couple videos
He's
from
gone
this guy.
he's gotten a bat over some good topics. Like he's had Dr. Pierre Corey with the whole frontline COVID doctors, whatever. Like he's given him the spotlight, which that like nobody was doing it, so that was kind of cool. But there's been some other issues he's covered that are like really important, especially like stuff with the whole Israel-Palestine conflict and getting that story right. But
Yeah, that chat you just shared, that's what makes me think the movie will probably be kind of stupid, but still worth a watch.
Oh, yeah.
Like what kind of plot twist has California and Texas ally? Like, I don't know.
Well, you'd be surprised how many guns are in California.
Not for long, man. They
Something
just
like more than that are in the rest of the country combined. Something like that.
They're about to pass a thing here in Colorado, which it just names every company and every platform to say it's banned, and then you're not allowed to pass it down to your to your kids or anything. So they're passing some like hardline stuff in Colorado.
Weird.
Yeah. Well, not weird, like typical. It still goes with that Foundation for Peace system. But yeah, man. Is Jimmy Dore, does he claim leftist? Because I usually agree with him, but I'm always waiting for somebody to catch me out of left field and be like, "Whoa, where'd that come from?"
Yeah, he was formerly a leftist, but then he started leaning into more like right-leaning arguments. So he's kind of a like convert. He's kind of central now, but leading into this whole keto thing, it's kind of clear who he's siding with.
Even Salty Cracker used to be like hardcore leftist, and he snapped out of it. Like, I'm not full right, but I think the left has the craziest Spurg side. Like, the right might have an okay, what kind of Americans are you type guy, but the left has one for craziest far side.
A lot more mental health issues going on.
Yeah, like that airman that just set himself on fire for a conflict I'm pretty sure has been going on since Bible. Like, no,
Yeah,
we're very aware of this conflict, sir.
Because it's
Do
in
not
the
ignite
news,
yourself.
bro. Just reminded him. He finally
Right.
noticed that they put it in the news so much, and so he had to go light himself on fire.
And he had just listened to that Rage album and was looking at the cover of that monk on fire. He's like, I've got an idea.
Just getting up to speed.
All right, well, I'm rushing to get these clips and stuff done, but yeah, my email is in the description. Hit me up if you want to talk about some video stuff. I don't know if you remember that dude Carl, that kind of trolly dude Carl that was making videos about people. He hit me up recently wanting to collab on some stuff, but I was like,
good
depends.
videos.
Yeah, it's like depends on what direction. He gets a little communist on me. I was like, if you're going in a direction I want to do, I'll help, but I don't want to suddenly be helping you on some dumb shit.
Yeah. That dude is
And
kind of funny.
come get down on the community, man. Like, everybody's pretty much isolated Paul or is aware of their shit. You come jump on Talcott or various, or at least mine.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
But I don't know. I might have a panel after Spurg. Spurg's gonna mostly hate on some people, but yeah, get at me if you want some custom layouts or something.
Sick. All right, man. Thanks.
You can send me some Bitcoin over Cash App or something. What do you use cold storage?
Yeah.
What brand do you use?
I have a Ledger, but they're kind of sus these days. They're no longer open source.
Yeah.
So I gotta move it. Huh?
I forget what company it was, but did you hear about the one where the IRS subpoenaed them in court to give up all their clients' 25-word passkeys? And it's like they did. So I forget which company it was, but I'm glad I'm not with them. I'm with Descent. It's like D''Cent, and it's got the fingerprint thing with it too. So I dig that.
Ooh, that's kind of cool. I kind of just want to, scratch my words on a piece of metal and like bury it somewhere. I don't know. Like honestly, Coinbase wallet is kind of like really good. It's not there's no device, but it's a pretty good freaking wallet. But again, it's not open source completely.
In the Riddler field, in the crypto Riddlers. In the crypto Riddler side, the Coinbase C slowly closing up was like a countdown for some things to happen. If you notice, the Coinbase C started getting like more and more closed circle over the last couple months. It was nuts.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, man, have you ever tried to memorize them? Because on my ledger, it's like you only have so many options. Like once you start typing it, it'll give you the word once you're close enough, or you could almost memorize them if you really made the effort.
On the ledger, I have the old school ledger. I have the little
or not
S.
ledger, but I mean on my cold storage. If I start to type it in, like there's only like so many letters and you get an option to, so it just gives you the word out of the multiple choice.
I'm pretty bad at memorizing things. I don't know if that would be a good idea.
Yeah, me too.
But I don't like having it like on a piece of paper laying around too. So it's like I need to do something better.
Yeah, you gotta find
I have all my stuff in like a bunch of different places, so it's like you don't.
Yeah, like hide half the words one place, half the words somewhere else, or something, and then make up your own like decoder ring. Yeah.
Or
there you
get a
go.
tattoo that like is like the decoder.
There's some kind of
Blacklight tattoos. That's cool.
No, it's some kind of ledger company that's made a different thing where they'll hold, like the way Google can secure your passwords, they found a way to like
that's
hold your 25
ultra
words.
sketchy.
Yeah, I don't trust it either, but somebody explained it on a video like it's legit, but I don't understand the tech.
Well, it's like FDIC. They have some sort of like FDIC type of backing or something to do that.
And
which is
also,
cool.
it's also they don't have your words either. It's like the way they're securing it
Yeah.
for you is you have to give something and they don't have it all either. Something like that.
Trezor is legit. I don't know about Tangem, but Trezor is a really good one. It's been around pretty long and it's had a pretty good. I should have probably gotten a Trezor to begin with, but Ledger was pretty cool when it was open source. Now they can do some weird backdoor stuff with the IRS, so I gotta get out of there.
If I'm on the right,
it's getting a little bit more difficult to do crypto than it used to be with all these companies disappearing and shit.
Tyrannize it.
Yeah, I mean, we've always known that's going to happen. Like it's just going to continue. The bull runs will get smaller and the tyranny will get bigger.
Yeah, it's like they won't take your rights. Your money just won't work on all products anymore.
And like the likeliness of getting rich off of crypto is going to go down.
I mean, they're coming just as hard at independent food production as they are firearms.
Yeah. Well, it's government. They go the equally hard at everyone, equally not hard at everyone, really.
All right. Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Let's see what
he is. Thomas Seyfried. He's a professor of biology, genetics, and biochemistry at Boston College. He received his PhD from the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. I went to Illinois State, and
so did I.
Oh no,
I got a master's degree there.
Oh, no kidding. Fantastic. While his postdoctorate fellowship studies were in the Department of Neurology at the Yale University School of Medicine, where he served as an assistant.
This guy,
professor in neurology,
he's 100
on several editorial boards, including those for nutrition and metabolism, neurochemical research, and the Journal of Lipid Research.
Doesn't look like someone I wouldn't take health advice from either of these guys, unless this guy's 110 years old.
Yeah,
which he's probably not. He's probably 60, which is like 10 years older than me, pretty much. Like.
Seriously, I mean, you see some of these older vegan health professionals that sure, some of them might look a little rough, but then you hear that they say they're like 90 or something. And you're like, oh, actually, yeah, they look like a lot of 50-year-olds that I've seen eating standard American diet. So, I mean, you really do kind of have to use the way people look sometimes to kind of guide what the outcome's going to be, what the fruit that they're going to bear is going to do for you,
like,
I guess.
Dr. Greger's a freaking pimp, dude.
Yeah.
Walking and shit all the time. Like,
they'll make fun of him for being bald, but it's like that's a genetic thing. And he's also been trying to cover some videos on how to grow your hair back using diet. So
I'm gonna need that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome to see him rocking some new hair if he's able to pull that off.
Hell yeah.
And ASN Neuro, where he is the senior editor. Dr. Seyfried has over 150 peer-reviewed publications and is
dude looks like one of the fish from Finding Nemo.
Yeah.
The author of the book right here, Cancer as a Metabolic Disease on the Origin, Management, and Prevention of Cancer. Welcome to the show, Professor Thomas Seyfried. I appreciate you being here.
Eat nothing.
Well, thank you very much, Jimmy. It's nice to be here.
So I was introduced to you. I was on a plane ride. It's so funny. I was on vacation in Hawaii, and I was talking to Ed Dowd, who's done a lot of work on excess deaths, and he comes from the financial world. And we're talking about all the lies we've been told about medicine and things that we can't really wrap our minds around, how it's been so corrupted by money. And he looks at me and he goes, I bet there's a cure for cancer out there. And I was just like, oh, come on, they wouldn't hide that. Well, on the way home on that plane, I come across this video on YouTube, and it's this professor.
Imagine actually being like having your eyes that closed to actually think that, like. That like the powers that be are just they're good people and they'd never do anything like that.
Yeah.
Keep the cure for cancer from the masses. Like they'd never do that.
Yeah, true. Well, we run into that issue with with a lot of the science that supports veganism too. I mean, there are people who rely on like the World Health Organization and like all these other kind of shady organizations, but what they're actually getting at usually tends to be grounded in some pretty solid science. So
it was like we had to use, All World in Data, which is like has some money from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation in it, but it's like once you like in order to say a study is bullshit, you have to point out what is bullshit about the scientific method that was used in the study. You can't just say because it was funded by certain people that the whole thing is invalidated. But Our World in Data is the highest caliber of science that we have on the planet right now, as far as like what's going on. And just because, Bill and Melinda Gates threw in $500K among, several hundred other people that did it too, you actually have to go into the data and look at it and be like, this is wrong, to actually like kick these things out. But then in the like Our World Data, there's no real like what's the agenda going on with this study? Like there's, I don't know, it's goofy, but yeah,
because that's even a fallacy. Just to say because somebody said the whole goat situation earlier.
Yeah,
like bridge
absolutely.
builder. Yeah.
And he's talking about how he's been dealing with cancer, and it sounds to me like he's got a pretty good hold on how to deal with it. So, tell me, what is your ideas on cancer and how to treat it? Because you treat it by starving it. So, talk about how you do that.
Yeah, well, thanks, Jimmy. Well, listen, about having a cure for cancer, I don't profess that at all. I think we have better ways to certainly manage cancer, better than what's currently being done. I consider the term cure as kind of arrogant. It's been kicked around for so long as if it's going to be something like a cure for measles or common cold or something like this. I think we should look at it as more of a more logical management based on the.
Like this dude has a turkey gobbler thing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want a turkey gobbler thing, so why would I eat like you eat? Like he's obviously not lean. Like I don't want to have like flabby face guy.
Well, yeah. Well, and they say like with Atkins too, I always go back to him because he's like number one on my list right now. But it's like whenever you bring up that Atkins died while pushing this,
they're like, no, he fell.
Yeah, he fell, or they'll say like, oh, his diet was really hard to follow, so he just didn't.
If you die from falling, then there's probably something else wrong with you.
Yeah,
your health probably wasn't that great if you slipped and fell on the ground and died.
Yeah, that fall was the least of your concerns.
He also had like 7 freaking. Didn't he have like heart attacks?
Yeah, he had a history,
heart attacks. And,
history of heart disease. He also had a stroke at one point.
Bypass surgery, all kinds of shit.
Yeah,
back in the day, they used to pull the arteries out of your legs and put them in your arms. Because it's really gross. Bypass surgery, because you would get so full of cholesterol that they'd have to like trade, and you're basically your legs kind of just like wither away after a while. Like it's like it's gonna give you like 6 months more to live, basically type of thing. They don't even do it anymore because it's so predatory. Like it's really gnarly. Like it's a really gnarly disease, or it's a gnarly surgery that they don't do anymore, which is probably good. Because they have like drugs now that allegedly knock all the shit loose. They used to like pull a like string with like a thing on the end through it. They would like cut you open and like pull a thing to like clean your freaking arteries out, and it would just scrape out the inside of your arteries. And then they sew you back up. Like,
yeah, I think that's what I was trying to find a while back. I think when I was talking about Dr. Joel Kahn showing some kind of footage or something of him just like pulling out like what looked like little meat ropes. I think that's what it was that I was looking for.
Yeah, it's gross.
Yeah,
meat
really
ropes.
gross. Yeah, it's a good name for it. Really, really morbid. But let's see this guy's cancer cure.
Whether that leads to a complete resolution of someone's cancer, that's all well and good. I mean, we can have that with the current strategies that we're using right now. We have so-called millions of so-called cancer survivors, but they also pay a serious price sometimes for their survival in the form of many other comorbid character traits that they would have gotten from the treatments. Our approach is based on the hard science of what the nature of cancer is. And it took, I'm standing on the shoulders of Otto Warburg, who in the 1920s defined what the nature of cancer was. And he was the dominant force in this field for decades and decades in Germany. He's one of the great thinkers and doers of the 20th century. But he was thrown under the bus, so to speak, when Watson and Crick discovered that DNA is the code for our lives and for genes. And they found mutations in cancer cells, and everybody ran off chasing that and pretty much left Warburg behind. But we were seeing really remarkable effects with calorie restriction and metabolic therapy. When the term starving them, I guess you could use that term with some caveats.
He was born in 1946, so 1950.
He's like 80-ish.
Like 70, yeah.
My brain's not great for math right
now. Where our research and that of many others have shown that these tumor cells cannot live very long without the sugar glucose or the amino acid glutamine. Warburg knew glucose was the prime fuel for cancer, but he knew nothing about the glutamine issue. And he also did not know about what we call now the third form of energy for cancer, and that's a amino acid fermentation based on the amino acid glutamine. So we can clear up a lot of the mystery and a lot of the problems that Warburg had and bring the entire cancer field back onto the right track where it should have been 70 or 80 years ago. And as you can see, that we have not made any major progress in reducing the death rates for cancer, mainly because the theory under which the disease is viewed is incorrect. It's not a genetic disease, as the National Cancer Institute and the majority of institutes around the world think. It's a mitochondrial metabolic disease. And once you realize that, the treatments and the lives and success will be greatly improved.
So your approach to it, you don't approach it as a genetic disease. You approach what I've heard you say is this thing about the two fuels that are needed for a cancer tumor, and those two fuels are glucose and glutamine, right? Mm-hmm. And so how do you treat that then? So what is your approach?
Well, our approach, and I learned this from my decades of working at Yale with the epilepsy foundations, where they use ketogenic diets to stop epileptic seizures. It's one of the most common natural forms of managing epileptic seizures in children. We had parallel studies going on in our lab with epilepsy, preclinical studies of epilepsy as well as preclinical studies of cancer, but they weren't overlapping. One was done independently of the other until we realized that when we started to calorie restrict some of the animals that we had with tumors, we were seeing a dramatic reduction of tumor growth. And then we decided to use it because Warburg said clearly that these tumor cells are dependent on a very poor fermentation.
Are these animals being left in cages while they're being pumped full of all this stuff? I bet they are.
Yeah.
That they aren't eating their natural diet outside in nature. I bet they're being held and being fed some weird shit. Animal studies. We're not animals, by the way. Also, I mean, we are animals, by the way, but we aren't those animals. We aren't rats or whatever he's talking about.
Well, and there's the epigenetic factor too, where like your environment largely determines, your health outcome with cancer. Because if you're in like a really dreary, bleak, if your outlook looks really bad, and then what you're eating and how you're being treated, all those things factor into developing cancer. So it's not just genetic. And there's so many things going on with that.
And then you're eating animals that are soaked with stress hormones.
Yeah, and they also cut out cancerous tumors from animals before, like during the production process, because obviously you don't want meat with tumors in it making it to your plate, but the cancer's still in the animal, so you're kind of eating cancer.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you're eating this miracle grass-fed beef.
Energy without oxygen. And he said that he was...
Sorry. No, grass-fed. Grass-fed's only slightly less bad.
Yeah, everybody's going to eat that in this miracle world these people are concocting.
Yeah. Where there's just enough grass for all the cows to eat to feed everyone in the world a keto diet.
Yeah, everything is grass.
That's one of the interesting things about cancer cells. They can grow without oxygen, and that oxygen comes from fermentation. It's an ancient way of getting energy. This is how all organisms existed on the planet before oxygen came into the atmosphere 2.5 billion years ago. Now, we were an anoxic environment on this planet for eons. But the cancer cell, interestingly enough, can live without oxygen. So I said, Warburg said, what were they using? Well, they ferment. Well, what do they ferment? They ferment the sugar glucose, and they produce a waste product of lactic acid. So what we did, when we were doing our epilepsy work, we were noticing that if we restricted glucose in children or in our preclinical models, we would get management of seizures. But it turned out that you'd say, well, then you have to do water-only fasting and all this. Well, this is the way the ketogenic diet started in 1921 at Mayo Clinic.
So when my mom tried to take me off sugar, or calorie restrict and sugar restrict me when I was a kid, I used to have hypoglycemic fits. Hypo.
Hypo is when you it's too little.
Yeah. Hypo, yeah. So, probably not a good idea.
Yeah. I've struggled with being hypoglycemic myself. It's no laughing matter. That can mess you up. And technically that is kind of a form of diabetes. So like you're entering that state of it where if you did it too much, you could completely like screw up your pancreas. So sugar is necessary.
You and Allie should do a show together. You guys are like really knowledgeable when it comes to all this stuff.
I have to get my stuff more refined. That's my whole thing. Cause like
doesn't seem like it. Both of you guys say the same shit.
Sometimes I pull stuff from the clouds that like
both of you guys make the same excuses for not making content. Oh, like they're both, probably smarter than me.
Well, I got pretty good at memorizing stuff somewhat, but like it's kind of selective because I still have that kind of ADHD like tendency where like some things, if I get really passionate or pulled into it, it really sticks. But then if I'm just like trying to make myself learn something, it can get a little more difficult. So I'm trying to get over that little hump to like make my learning more efficient, get a little better with process.
Yeah, more disciplined.
Yeah, that's a tricky part.
For sure.
They said, well, children or people with epilepsy, if they stop eating and just drink water, the seizures will go away. But this is not a long-term solution to the problem. So they developed the ketogenic diet in 1921 for epilepsy. And it was lowering blood sugar and elevating ketones. And no one to this day really understands how that's blocking epileptic seizures. But for cancer, it becomes very, very clear. The tumor cell can't live without the glucose. And because they ferment, they can't use ketone bodies or fatty acids as an alternative to glucose. So you can checkmate them. And this is the way a lot of people were using this. The problem is some of these things weren't working. And that's because they also can sneak in the amino acid glutamine, which no one really knew about. They knew glutamine played a role, but they didn't know it was fermented. That's one of our big contributions to the cancer field, that there's another fermentable fuel, a fuel that can provide energy without oxygen, and that's the amino acid glutamine, which is the most abundant amino acid in our bodies. So how do you target glutamine without harming the rest of the body? And that's why we developed the press pulse therapeutic strategy, where we can hold down glucose. We don't need glucose. The brain can transition to ketone bodies, and the heart can transition to fatty acids, but the cancer cells cannot transition. So they are locked into these fermentation pathways. So the solution to the cancer problem, I don't want to say a solution, I would say the most likely and successful management would be to restrict the two fermentable fuels while transitioning the entire body over to non-fermentable fuels, which all of our normal cells can use quite effectively. We evolved to use alternative fuels to glucose. Our Paleolithic ancestors were mostly in a state of ketosis, which...
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that you'll be as efficient.
No, and
this means you have the ability to run off of a less efficient fuel. We don't have fat receptors in our mouth. We don't have protein receptors in our mouth. We have glucose receptors in our mouth. Obviously, glucose is meant to be our most efficient fuel source. So if you're going to get rid of one of them, that glucose is not the one you want to get rid of. You're going to fry your body out in your hormone system.
Well, I'm confused because he's saying cancer cells need, was it glucose and glutamine? And glutamine's an amino acid, isn't it? That's a protein source. Because I was just looking at these studies how they're I think it was like,
well, it's just sugar hate. They're like, oh well, let's just get rid of the sugar then. You know, that's the like, sugar's bad.
Even by his,
let's just get rid of the sugar.
But by his philosophy, let's take away the fuel to the tumor. It's like, okay, well then keto diet involves eating protein, right? You're still, if it requires sugar and an amino acid. But yeah, I was just reading about studies where they, I guess through mice, through suppression
of their kills cancer in your body, it's probably not a good diet to do normally.
Sorry.
Ow.
Sorry, I was going for this. My bad, but yeah.
Like that's not good. I mean, you know.
Yeah, well, and you run into like a couple of issues where it's like the simplification of carbs, just in general, carbs being bad. You have simple carbs and you have complex carbs. One is digested a little more slowly, like complex carbs, but like simple sugars, it's like your starchy vegetables and everything, but that's going to be your faster fuel if you're more physically active. So it's going to hit your muscles and your brain a little faster, so you'll get that blood sugar spike. But if you're actively using it, you're actually burning off those calories. It's going to be a good fuel source if you need that energy. But what was the other thing I was going to say? I lost the other one.
No.
I don't know. Just the whole ketosis thing always kills me. And this guy even admitted that the whole thing of like ketosis, the ketogenic diet, coming from like an epilepsy treatment. I'm pretty sure I've read some things on that the people who invented the diet pointed out that it's not supposed to be a long-term thing that you follow.
Yeah, of course. It's supposed to be to get rid of some fat, but it doesn't even get rid of fat.
For epilepsy.
Yeah, and I don't even know how it works for epilepsy. I'll admit that, but like they even acknowledge it's not safe long-term. You're not supposed to put your body through that kind of stress, especially if you're putting free radicals in your body and all these different things that are toxic. Like after a while, you're going to encourage cancer. It's almost like these are the globalists who are trying to push you into killing yourself or becoming, becoming dependent on pharmaceutical industry eventually.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is low glucose and elevated ketones, because there weren't delicatessens on every corner during the Paleolithic period. So our species evolved in a starving environment, and we're bringing the body back into those environments simply to restrict and target and gradually degrade the growth of the tumors without toxicity. This is the key thing. We can do that without toxicity. It's very effective if people know what to do and how to do it, and we're writing protocols to do that now.
So just let me see. Let me try to sum up, and you tell me where I'm getting it wrong or right. So the cancer tumor it has two forms of fuel. One of them is glucose, one is glutamate. So if you stop eating things that produce glucose, meaning sugar, carbohydrates, things like that, you can take that fuel away from the tumor, and then it can also use glutamate. Now glutamine. Thank you. Okay, so glutamine. Now, where does glutamine, what food source has glutamine in it?
Well, that's the issue. You cannot target glutamine with food sources. It's considered a non-essential amino acid. The body can make it. So it's not. That's why we know that one of the drugs we use is 6-deoxynorlucine. It's called DON, D-O-N. The structure looks almost identical to glutamine. The problem is it's taken up in the cells and it kind of gums up the entire metabolic pathway for glutamine, and the cell can't use it. Now, they used that drug years ago in oncology clinics and said it was too toxic. They used it it did pretty well on leukemias in little kids, but they didn't know how to use it. We have all of these tools in the toolbox, but you really have to know how to use the tool to make it work right. We use the tool in a calorie-restricted ketogenic diet, very low doses of glutamine now, so its power is there, but its toxicity is significantly reduced. So it's, again, if you
are you on the diet?
Know how to use the tools in the toolbox.
Okay, no, go ahead.
You can get tremendous results. And the folks that were using DON in the past were just giving patients massive doses of this without also targeting the key metabolite glucose. So the tumor cells were still allowed to grow because you were hitting the more minor component rather than the major component. So you take away glucose with calorie-restricted ketogenic diets, and then you take small doses of DON and hit the glutamine pathway. So this makes perfect sense, and it works really, really well.
So it sounds like you're really onto something. And again, this isn't some kind of fringe theory. This is based on decades and decades of research. And now, is it true that the drug you're talking about, so you you change the diet and you get rid of glucose, and then you take a drug? It's called DON. That's the name of it. Now,
it's a glutamine analog, meaning that the structure of DON, in fact, it was isolated as an antibiotic years ago. They thought it was some sort of an antibiotic, so it's a natural compound, but it has a structure very similar to that of glutamine. But the problem is when it's taken up in the cell, it blocks the glutaminolysis pathway, so you can't get energy or nitrogen. Cancer cells need nitrogen to make DNA and RNA. So they need the glucose for metabolite synthesis, lipids and proteins, and they need the nitrogen from glutamine to make a growing cell. So we're pulling the plug on both of the two key fuels that these tumor cells need to use. But we need drugs to target glutamine. The only thing I know to target glutamine minimally is exercise. So if people do a good exercise, the late George Cahill from Joslin Diabetes Center here in Boston showed years ago that glutamine, heavy exercise, good walking, and this kind of aerobic exercise could lower levels of glutamine. But it's not to the level that it certainly helps. But then when you push a little bit of DON on top of an exercised person who's in therapeutic ketosis, man, the problem is not only does the cancer get hammered, but so does the type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, hypertension, high blood pressure, all those kinds of.
I wonder how this guy eats.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I doubt he's keto.
Yeah. That always gets into the issue of what they're pushing versus what they're actually doing. Because just to clarify, he was saying that glutamine's bad, right? It's to be avoided.
No, he's not saying no restriction in the glutamine in a diet. We use the drug to do that. And then once you take out, and then he said that glucose was the major, I forget what exact word, major fuel
like
source.
Ferments and everything.
Yeah, and then the glutamine is just a minor, which is completely false. I mean, from what I'm reading, it doesn't seem, one isn't more than the other. They're both pretty equal. So I just looked up top 17 foods with glutamine. Number 1, chicken. Number 2, beef. Number 3, lamb. Number 4, turkey. Number 5, pork, seafood, shellfish, eggs, yogurt, milk, cheese. And then we're coming to tofu, beans, nuts, whatever. So why would you promote a diet that includes the other half of the story of this, the source of fuel for these tumors, but then no glucose, but we'll just use the drugs to take care of the glutamine part? That's basically what I got from what he said.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of like with like diabetes, people taking metformin because it like blocks the glucose for, or what is it? Okay, well basically the idea that people have that with diabetes it's sugar that causes the issues, and it's like, you know, glucose getting into the bloodstream. Well, the issue is that the glucose isn't being hit by the receptors properly.
Oh, yeah, the fat is coating the insulin receptor site
The like
themselves.
gummed up locks and all that.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're trying to block out this glutamine by using a medication, but they're like the foods for ketosis are the glutamine that they're trying to block out. Like
highest sources.
Because there's no way that they'd ever in a million years go vegan. So they just have to make drugs to get around it.
Yeah.
To make it for their bad habits of eating meat. It's like
the good news for your bad habits argument, or you know, thing that they like to do.
Yeah.
We found a drug that you have to take so you don't have to restrict that side of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's always going to be a convenient drug, just like insulin was, until you find out that destroys your pancreas.
Yeah.
Oh, these people.
Conspiracy guys, the anti-establishment guys, and he's like, it's basically promoting big pharma along with, they're like keto, and then we can use less of the drug because we're not having the glucose in the diet. We're going keto.
Yikes.
Always trying to avoid the source of the problem.
Yeah.
The things start disappearing along with the cancer cells.
So now this drug, Don, is it readily available? Are doctors able to get it and prescribe it?
No, that's one of the great tragedies. And, there's some companies in China that make it. You know, I'd like to test everything thoroughly before I rely on anybody. I get it from Chemical Supply where they say not for human use, but it certainly works. And the problem is it should be the singular most available drug for cancer. Because we've shown how we get rid of the toxicity that everybody was afraid of.
So,
and when you look at the level of toxicity,
he uses it illegally? Is that what he just said? Oh, it's the cancer ivermectin. This is just what kills cancer.
Like. Yeah. Sorry.
Well, what he's talking about is something to the effect that they're going straight to the source, kind of like going for like OEM or whatever. Like he's trying to get it at the most affordable, it sounded like. But saying that this could be a huge cancer drug.
So he's selling something is what you're trying to say.
That's what it kind of comes off like.
Yeah.
I said earlier, I was like, plug it. Like, you know, here's your sponsor spot. But oh man.
Or he's being paid by some company to go out and create a buzz, to create some sort of viral fucking shit that gets a bunch of people buying some drug that that didn't have that had no market before.
Yeah, and sure enough,
people will take it because they'd rather take that than eat vegetables and fruit and not dead carcasses and excrement and shit like that.
Yeah, the easier solution. Well, and when ivermectin was like, it was more in the news back during COVID, and there was another thing that people have actually been studying. Like, I have a page that I can link to. This dude archived like all these different articles and studies, all showing ivermectin's efficacy for killing cancer and killing cancer cells, and they were looking at that as like a potential cancer cure. Like there's a huge archive, huge list of studies, and sure enough, Biden a while back, like during all this time, he made some like tweets where he was saying that they were going to do like this cancer moonshot thing where cancer is going to be a thing of the past, and you're going to be looking at more of like manageable autoimmune issues and stuff like that. So like, it's just a little coincidental that all of a sudden people like this guy are talking about this new cancer drug that might be coming out, pairing it with keto, the biggest shill diet that's out there.
Yeah.
It's just this like incestuous
He keeps looking away all uneasy too. He doesn't look like
old guy.
Yeah, like I don't know. I get weird vibes from him.
He's not able to say it straight to your face. He knows he's on camera.
Yeah. He keeps looking away when he says it, and whenever he asks a question, he looks like pained to have to answer a question about it.
Yeah,
and then his answers are all fucking like goofy.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ, Lubass! None of those people live past 50 years old. Stop with this old shit that you've already been debunked a million times. Inuit, all these fucking Aboriginals, they didn't live long, dude. So like, they had heart. Like they literally, and the cool thing about the Inuit thing is, this is the funniest thing. You metards with this Inuit shit. The Inuit bury their dead in the snow. So they've found mummies that are hundreds of years old, and they're rife with heart disease. And they're able to autopsy them because they're frozen and they're completely full of heart disease, and they're all dead at 45. So, you can cherry pick, but probably not the best group to cherry pick from. And it's funny how many people I've told this to, and they just keep repeating it over and over again. Yeah, look into it, Lubass. Prove me wrong, Lubass. Show me where it says that all Inuit live to be 90. And your Maasai have already been outed. They've been caught eating at McDonald's and shit, dude. Like these people, they eat the Western diet. They just put on outfits whenever the cameras come around and talk about meat. Like these people are found out. Like they've been found out.
Man,
it's time to come up with some new arguments, people.
Yeah, we gotta make it
boring us to death. You're boring us to death. It's so boring being a vegan activist because your guys' arguments are so fucking simple to disarm.
Yeah, we need somebody to come forward and bring a difficult to dissect argument, so we can actually have something like, for me with my ADHD issues, make me passionate, pull me in. Like I want something that's gonna help me kill keto.
Exactly. Yeah.
Given to the poor patients today. So, and we found a way to keep the therapeutic efficacy while removing the toxicity, because we know now how to use the tools. Once you know how to use the tools in the toolbox, you can start making tremendous. Now, it's not that people say, oh, they have a cure for cancer. Let's be honest. We have a lot of ways to manage cancer. The problem is, a lot of people just don't know how to use the tools that we have.
So, go ahead.
But I'm saying some of the drugs that we use for managing cancer, some of these incredibly toxic drugs, we can use much lower doses of these things if the patients are in therapeutic ketosis. We don't need to use these incredibly toxic things that have off-target effects. This is the key thing. Off-target effects damage your gut, your immune system. They damage all kinds of other physiological systems that we need to be a functional, healthy individual. So if you know how the weaknesses of the tumor cell, you can selectively target and kill them without harming the rest of the body. If you know that, first of all, you have to know that cancer is a mitochondrial metabolic disease. And what I'm saying makes perfect sense in that sphere. But if people think cancer is a genetic disease, then you treat people with all these kinds of things that really don't work.
So why do you think, so this to me sounds like a big deal and a big breakthrough that you've researched and discovered and have engineered through. And so now you would think that this would be front page news every day, top of the news on every. Why do you think it's not?
Ideological dogma.
So could you expand on that?
The National Cancer Institute and many of the top cancer institutes throughout the world think cancer is a genetic disease. If you go to the website of the National Cancer Institute, you say, what is cancer? Cancer is a genetic disease caused by mutations that lead to damage in the DNA. And the DNA damage leads to dysregulated cell. So you have to say to yourself, what is the definition of cancer? Cell division out of control, dysregulated cell growth. What is driving the dysregulated cell growth? A fermentation metabolism. How is that possible? Because the organelle that controls the differentiated state is the mitochondrion. It's in the cytoplasm of the cell. That organelle controls division and controls the quiescent state. When that organelle becomes damaged in some way, the cells fall back on these ancient pathways that existed in all of our cells, but they're very minor. But they were major before oxygen came into the atmosphere. So the cancer cells are simply falling back on these ancient pathways. Well, this is a totally different concept than the dogmatic view of what cancer is today, which is a genetic disease. Therefore, the drugs, so-called precision medicine targeted therapies, they're going after mutations, which are, now we have shown and others have shown that when these organelles, the mitochondria, become corrupted, they throw out what we call reactive oxygen species. out of these cytoplasmic mitochondria. They are the ones that cause the mutations in the DNA. The mutations in the DNA are an effect of the abnormal energy metabolism. They're not the cause of the dysregulated cell growth.
So you're
This dude's like the like dictionary definition of one of those people that'll just like they just try and dazzle you with words. You know, they just like they just use all their words even though they know you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You know, or at least the general public who's listening probably is just all, woo, you know, he's smarter than me, so he must be right. You know, it's just like these guys have all crazy egos, you know, like
they just like being on camera.
These doctors, you know.
Yeah, it's like
and then these guys all die like 7 years earlier than the general population too. So like, you know, why are we taking their advice for health stuff? It's like if you break my arm, I'm gonna go to the doctor, you know, but I'm not gonna go to the doctor and ask him what I should be eating.
Yeah, that's the last person you want to ask. Ironically, they get 24 hours of nutrition education throughout the entire span of their college education, and then the rest of it is just looking at like little fad diet like magazine articles for the rest of it, and that's how you get people who fall for the keto scheme.
Yeah. Well, that's Rogan, man. The power of that brainwashing is fucking pretty impressive.
Yeah, it goes deep. And he's supposed
I
to
remember when he had Dr. Baker on the first time, I was like, what? A guy who eats nothing but meat? I thought it was fucking crazy. And now it's just like, oh, mainstream.
Yeah. I was hoping that
I don't see anyone doing it. All these people say they're doing it, but they aren't.
Well, nobody can actually stick to it. It's so strict. I mean, because like even Sean Baker, I saw something. I didn't watch the video, but it was like that one Reddit group that I've been kind of checking out. That somebody posted that. Oh
no, you're on Reddit.
Not for like I don't get active.
Oh bullshit!
I lurk on there. I do have what that group that I'm in. I do have that like.
Allie's the queen of Reddit.
I used to be bigger into it, but then I started seeing that there's so much like controlled opposition type people on there that there's like gatekeepers, and I like it would
tell me all about it.
Yeah, it can drive you nuts because these people are like coordinated. It's like they're actually being paid and like brought up to like debate people when they have a differing point of view. It's really crazy. I just got tired of being gaslit. I like gaslit, so I stopped participating. It's like the YouTube issue too, shadow banning comments when you bring up actual factual things.
The good stuff.
Yeah. The stuff that you wish people would look up, but you're not even allowed to say it because somebody's looking at these keywords.
Was it a vegan group or what kind of group was it?
Oh, this one that I'm talking about for the Sean Baker thing?
Yeah.
Well, so they're not actually exclusively vegan, but they are they're anti-keto and they actually have a pretty scientific approach to it. So they lean more plant-based and vegan, and they actually embrace vegans because we've been combating the whole keto issue. So so they pointed out that Sean Baker, one of the biggest influencers in the carnivore scene, he like kind of cast some doubt, and that video we saw earlier that might have been related, but he was saying something to the effect that like you have to eat certain amounts of like fruits and berries so you don't get deficiencies, and you can't just take supplements. So he's kind of having to bite the bullet and like point out that it's not perfect. Like any
okay, they all have plants we have to eat. There's not that many, but there's just some. We do have to eat some plants.
Yeah, it's
the other shit. Paul, what's his name? The other guy. He eats mangoes and honeys and bananas and all kinds of shit now. Honeys.
Yeah. Honeys. Well, and there's
the whole we don't need fruit thing is pretty fucking. I mean, you know, that's almost like they pulled that shit just to get attention.
Yeah, it's the extreme of you can live off of this diet that's like a scarcity based sort of mindset, and like I don't know, with how far agriculture's come, like why not dig more into that and like the sustainable stuff we were talking about earlier with like no-till farming and like actually learning about the mycelium networks and how they benefit all these different types of plants by like nourishing the roots and everything. They communicate just like tree roots and mycelial networks do too. But yeah, let's just chop everything down and just only make, you know, grass and alfalfa be our mainstay so cows can eat. It's so stupid. I don't know. These guys make all the money and get all the views while they're just pushing something that's ultimately killing society.
Yeah. I couldn't believe that Baker video. He's just like, oh, it's all funny. I just post whatever because it's funny.
It's just a
we're
goof.
just trolling. We're just trolling. That's literally what he said. I'm just trolling, saying that there's nothing wrong with red meat, you know, like just trolling. People love it. I get a lot of attention. Like, what a fucking scumbag.
Seriously, I mean, and that there is, you almost have to wonder if that is kind of like a Freudian slip moment, or, you know, because it's like, did you just reveal the truth of what you're actually doing, and you're just using this to troll vegans at a really high level?
That's the rest of that video. That's what they're talking about. Because he made a response, and he's all, they took it out of context. They edited it funny and like whatever. And it's like, dude, you fucking said it.
Yeah.
You know, like,
we're
not surprised. And what you said was true. You know, so it's like, why would we not believe you when you said something that was true?
Yeah, you're an authority.
Like, you're the guy. You started all this. You know, he already, admitted that his blood work sucks. Like, Mark Sisson admits you won't have fucking Primal Diet guy. He's one of the top guys. He admits you won't have any cardio on the shit. And it's like, is it worth it that much to do this diet, to give up cardio and give up, like, you guys aren't getting that skinny. You're just losing muscle glycogen. Like,
if this whole, like, shit hits the fan kind of scenario comes out where we're going to end up having to go into war against, whatever happens with all that stuff. Do you really think you're just going to be stationed somewhere and you're just going to be like not moving at all? You're going to be running. I mean, if you want to like survive, you're going to have to run with your little platoon or whatever you got going on. It's like, you're not just going to be sitting there. So
look at Lubass's top 4 reasons why
He's literally used
cave painting equals hunting.
I can't handle it.
It's Justin Bedini. These Italian guys, they think cave paintings are a perfect. They're a perfect. They're like history's most prized possession are these cave paintings.
I don't want
people don't have imaginations or anything. They just draw exactly what's happening.
Yeah, I don't want to be like racist.
There's no cave paintings of anyone eating vegetables or collecting any kind of fruit or anything. There's none.
Yeah.
That's just people killing animals. Cave painting equals hunting. The end. I am a robot.
Or the fact if they're painting someone hunting, what does that have to do with
humans
having to eat meat just because they painted it on a wall? So what?
Humans have varying stomach acid. It varies depending on what you eat. So that's absolutely not true. Forward-facing eyes that's not. We see color because we want fruit. Mm-hmm. We don't chase animals down and rip them apart with our claws and our teeth and eat them whole, do we? Yeah, I didn't think so.
Hmm.
If you eat a bunch of fucking, you end up looking like you, Lubass, and then you end up dead at 50. Probably not the best diet.
Yeah, and he's not going to be a very effective cannibal.
Yeah, you're not going to be very, you'll probably be one of the first ones to go.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're almost at 2.5 hours. I think it just started raining, so I have to go climb on the roof of the RV to make sure we don't have any leaks.
Oh, that's gotta be fun. Well,
it's worth it.
Yeah, freedom you get and everything.
How you been, dude?
Stressed out, managing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole situation with my oldest dog, the one that literally we've had her since I was like 12 years old. So it's been kind of rough, like seeing her health kind of deteriorate. So we're
yeah.
Is that that's pretty well, so I don't know, I've had a couple moments like what would you call it? kind of like existential moments where I've had to kind of like just cope with the fact that it might be her time, but also I'm also like hanging on really hard to make sure that like I'm trying everything that I can before we just like throw in the towel and say that's it. So like that plant powered dog book, the lady who wrote it, she has like a consultation service. And I was thinking, okay, cool, because I don't have time to go through this entire book and like, you know, learn all about animal nutrition, even though a lot of it does kind of it works basically the same as human diets for the most part. There's just certain things you got to watch out for. But there's a lot of it I don't want to like miss the mark and end up screwing up her health worse. So I was hoping the consultation would work. She's like packed full of clients right now, so I am gonna have to dig in deep to find out what's gonna work. So yeah, it's been a little stressful, but I've got some Panicure coming because she does have some kind of I want to say it's like some kind of carcinoma, she has like what looks like maybe benign tumors on her skin. It's a really, it's kind of graphic. I don't want to talk too much about all that stuff, but we're going to be trying to basically tackle the potential cancer issue and then just trying to get her back on track with like eating right and everything, eating right for the first time.
That sucks.
Yeah.
What kind of dog is she?
She's a Chiweenie. So she's mostly miniature dachshund, which they have like the biggest hearts of like any dog that I've seen in a lot of cases. But she's got a little bit of Chihuahua in her, so you can kind of see it. But she just looks like a little like long-haired German princess dog. Like she's really cool. So I'm doing what I can to keep her around for at least another few solid years. Hopefully.
Yeah, Steve's got stomach problems. He like throws up all the time and has to eat a really special diet. We have to like lock him away because if he gets into the trash, he'll throw up for like a week and lose a bunch of weight. And
oh man,
it's gnarly, dude. Animals.
Well, it's just hard because you can't talk to them, right? Like you can't ask them like, okay, like what do you need? Like, are you ready to go? Like you have to like make all these judgment calls, and it's so much responsibility for a living thing you care about. Like, yeah. So
yeah,
I've definitely, I've been there a lot just with like, I just grew up with so many cats, dogs, like all different types of pets, but it's like, that's always like the hardest part is just like, you know, when they start having health problems, you just don't know, like, because you want to choose the best way to do things. You don't want to make it worse. I mean, yeah, like I've gone the same thing with my cat, like because I'm pretty sure he has liver failure, basically. It's like a chronic liver condition, but I just have to it's just so I've had to do all this research on like, okay, so he has to have a low phosphorus diet, right? So then I'll look up these like diets of like homemade food for cats that are low in phosphorus, but then I'll actually do the research of the ingredients and like, that's not low phosphorus. It's just what everyone says. Oh, this like chicken breast is low. It's not actually low in phosphorus. So it's like it's just like with human health, like with all this stuff we've been talking about with human nutrition, same thing with pets. There's so many layers of just like old shit and mainstream stuff.
Wives' tales.
Yeah, and then just like these ideas and marketing for foods and stuff that we just think, oh, this is high in this and low in this, and then if you just look it up, it's just all arbitrary. The levels are actually not low, but it's tough. I feel for you. It's a really hard place to be in.
Well, and the other thing is that what I was mentioning, that whole fenbendazole thing. So the guy who like pioneered it, I guess, this guy Joe Tippins, he made a whole blog where he like outlined everything he was doing for his cancer protocol. He had like certain supplements he was doing, like bioavailable curcumin, like turmeric with black pepper to like make it more bioavailable and all that. Piperine and all that. Yeah. So he goes into all that stuff and he's talking about certain aspects of nutrition, but he never connects the dots with like veganism being so like antioxidant, anti-cancer, all these different things. Well, so he, I out of necessity, he started a couple of Facebook groups. One was for like people who have like family members and they want support to get them through cancer and like help them reverse it. There's another one for animals. And like I got really frustrated because I went on, like I joined the group and was like, I think my dog might have cancer. Like they're really tight knit. They make you answer all the questions, everything. But so I got in just saying like I'm suspecting my dog might have some issues, just looking for some health advice. And so I go in there and I searched the keyword vegan, and there's a couple posts where people were really well educated on the topic, and they were talking about like vegan diets being so anti-cancer for humans. Why wouldn't that extend to animals? And just the comments.
Everyone flipped out on him, I bet. Yeah, like, dude, people get crazy about that.
You're going to do that to an animal? That's animal abuse.
Like,
animal abuse. Exactly. Yeah.
the last couple videos, little shorts I put up, I put one of Heinz talking about, you know, dogs being completely fine on it, and people are losing their minds in the comment. I knew they would go crazy.
People crawl out the woodwork when we start talking about that.
Dogs need meat. That's what this guy said. Dogs need meat, period. That's all. That's it. Carry
the
on.
Most dogmatic comments start to come out. And it's like, you guys don't see how this is a cult? What you're doing here, you can't look at alternative nutrition, especially with how much science has been coming out on it, like just in the last few years. Like that book that I shared in the group, there's like she has let's see, I don't think I have the book on me right now, but like there's an entire like back quarter of the book, and it's like a 400+ page book, and it's all the recent studies that have been coming out. It's like, okay, if you want to debate that veganism might not work for animals, you're gonna have to go through all these studies and like, you know, at least try to refute it.
Yeah, they won't. Trust me, they won't.
They never do.
I don't care what the study says. Dogs need meat.
Yeah, that's the biggest religion. And that's the other thing too, is for animals, you know, like we've been feeding our dogs kibble, like as far as, you know, ever since I was a kid. And even being vegan, I've had to kind of like grapple with that. Like, you know, if I'm eating better, should my animals also at least, you know, try to optimize their diet too? Because I feel bad when I'm sitting here making these huge loaded salads. I'm like, oh, this is going to be so good for me. I'm like, oh, here's your kibble. Like your dried meat cereal and everything.
Oh, this fucking cat eats very well.
Yeah. Do you guys opt more like plant-based? Like how's that go for you guys?
Yeah. It doesn't work with him.
Oh yeah.
He's got a problem.
There's been times when, so like he's a stray, and so before I like adopted him, he was just an outside cat at this house I lived at. I was giving all the strays vegan kibble, and they're all okay. But he had, I think, like I said, he had this liver problem, so he just started throwing up everything, and so then I had to start feeding him completely raw. So I would get these. The thing that changed his health was I was giving him kibble, but then I started getting these cuts of beef from a restaurant, like, you know, and like they trim the fat off the beef, and it's like this like red, really gnarly, like totally gross, but then that, and with like big chunks of yeah it's what he held down the best. And I've tried, like, it's still an ongoing experiment. I add supplements though that has that, like he can't have egg because, again, the whole phosphorus thing. So there's a couple things that I switched from like an egg source to like now he has this like squash supplement. But yeah, it's really hard. And he's like, yeah,
it's a lot better now though than when I mean, it's
really
been like
skinny.
off and on, but right now, as he's been on like almost all year, he's been really good health wise, at least weight. He got really skinny a couple times. He like broke into the kitchen and like drank a whole bottle of olive oil and almost died. Like he's fucking weird. Yeah, he's retarded. He's a dumbass cat.
You gotta watch out for animals. They think they're smart until faced with that harsh reality.
Yeah.
Well, you know what, so I don't want to like spam the group with like all the stuff that I've been finding and everything, but like this is why I was kind of thinking with the brain program and possibly extending to like making like a group or something, like an actual like group page. It'd be good to be able to like link together different things where if we have like a topic that's like, okay, this video that Chris Hines shared.
We need a place where all our shit is that we can just all go to and grab stuff as we have it. And we need to make videos specifically tailored to certain things we come across a lot. Like that's kind of what I've been doing for a while, is trying to make like a concise video for every argument we have so we can just drop them on people and people can click the link and hear why the argument is so stupid. But that was the whole point of going after doing the crop desk stuff, was just like, so now I have, when people come to me, I just drop the video, be like, dude, you have no idea about this subject. Like, I'm basically an expert at this. So, that old shit's not going to work with me.
Yeah, you've got that memory bank, and then it's like I like the thought of being able to go through point by point and be like, if somebody says one thing that's supposed to be like the crux of it, I guess, they think that they got you. Well, it's like, okay, well, here's this specific point. Here's, maybe like a little bubble on that program where it shows every little detail about where you're wrong. So you can go through and like, if somebody wants to debate it, you're opening up that, you can open up that opportunity, but let's hash it out and then get it on record that we debunked it thoroughly. I think that'd be a really cool approach.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, we could kind of do it here also. But just by coming here and going through the stuff and clipping it, where we can also make those videos too. But yeah, we need like some sort of place. But that brains thing is cool. But we're gonna get out of here.
Okay,
3.5 hours. That's a pretty good one. Tonight was fun.
Yeah, had a good show. We need more non-vegans coming up on panel. That'd be great. Surprised Lou Bass didn't pop up. Anyway.
Yeah. All right, dude. Peace.
Peace. You guys have a good night.